morning and welcome to the semifinals in the second weekend of our back-to-back World Cups in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm Pete Woods. I'm joined by Megan Martin, former U.S. national team member and analyst now with us for the IFSC. Megan, good morning. A little bit gray. It rained last night. Temperatures dropped, as you see, about 9 degrees. You know, we're in an outdoor venue. Is that going to play a factor this morning in this semifinal round?
Yeah, it is a little bit wet around, but we do have a really nice pavilion set up, and honestly there's a really nice breeze. And I was talking to some of the athletes earlier in isolation, and they were pretty psyched about the weather conditions today. So as long as, you know, there isn't another downpour, I think it'll be okay. Salt Lake City is a very dry climate, so even though there has been rain, the moisture doesn't stay as long as in maybe some other climates. So all in all, I think this is kind of the temperature you want for bouldering. I mean, honestly, when it's too hot, too humid, or too cold, too humid, that's the worst. And it's kind of right in the middle right now. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah, what the athletes are looking for is friction. So they want to be able to that we deal so much now, even as you see here on the left of your screen, and just you know, the first two boulders, a lot of large sloping friction dependent holds. And if it gets humid, you have that layer of moisture that you can't ever quite get off of your hand, and it feels like the holds are wet. People say the holds feel wet. They're not. They just hold moisture. So the breeze that's running through here, as you say, will make a big difference. Some of the athletes love it cold, and I know for a fact Sean McCall excels when it's cold enough to have, you know, a puffy on to climb. That's when he finds he's functioning at his best and doesn't want to overheat. So that's something too. Semifinals, not a lot of rest. So we're bouncing between the boulders. We don't have a lot of rest time. We're 4 minutes on. We're 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. And
4 boulders, though.
4 boulders. So you stay quite warm.
Correct. And because of those 5 minutes, you have more attempts that you can possibly have, right? So with 4 minutes, attempts are very quick. You can usually get maybe 2 to 3 really good attempts, but with 5 minutes, you're kind of in that 4 to 5 range, and then depending if it's a coordination move, maybe you do have like 10 attempts because those are very specific. But yeah, like you said, the 5 minutes, you're working for those 5 minutes generally, unless you're flashing, and then just that, whatever you have left over time, or just that extra 5-minute rest in between boulders. So you're moving a lot and you're sweating a lot. So having that breeze today is really nice because then you can catch your breath behind the wall. And behind the wall, there are also hangboards and other things, like a few holds as well, to if you feel like you need to warm up in between boulders. I have never felt that way. I generally am taking advantage of every rest I get between boulders, but if that's you, you do have that option.
Boulder 2 wasn't hard enough. Let me get some reps in here before I get going.
I think I want to do some single arm pull-ups real quick.
Yeah. So you'll see as we pan across the crowd, you will see puffy jackets, you'll see umbrellas. It's threatening rain. You know, fingers crossed, of course. At an outdoor venue, these are the things we deal with. As Megan said, the wall is well covered. The pavilion roof here stretches a long way back. Judges will stay dry. Everyone else is going to stay dry. Megan, an interesting thing to note, in an outdoor venue, the warm-up and isolation is not on site. It's at the USA Climbing Training Center, about a mile away, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really quick drive. Takes about a few minutes, and the athletes will get shuttled directly to right behind the wall, so they don't have to walk anywhere else other than getting out of the van and then stepping back into that secondary isolation area behind the wall. And it's just really great to have a big isolation area. The training center has multiple walls they can warm up on. There's slab walls, there's an overhang spray wall, there are rings, hangboards, there's even the speed route. Every hold on the speed route is up in case anyone wants to do that today.
Go and do that in
you never know, though. Honestly, the explosiveness could be good for coordination boulders, and you know, everyone can assume there will probably be a coordination boulder in the round for them.
Yeah,
so
we're looking at 2 of them right here.
There are a lot of options for them to warm up, and having that ability to spread out and get a good warm up in is really ideal. And oh my gosh, we're already going.
Oh, we're underway. I love when it sort of sneaks up on us. We are going to get things rolling right away here. The climbers will come out. They get 5 minutes to try the boulder and 5 minutes to rest, and then we bring out the next. So at the beginning of this round, it moves a little slow because we only have 2 climbers out, and then we'll have 4, and then we'll have 8, and then we'll have more. So both genders run semis at the same time. We show you almost everything we can. We'll be finding tops. We'll be finding athletes. Don't worry, we're going to get it all to you. Coming out right on your left will be women's 1, and on the right side will be men's number 1. Nathan Phillips will be on the right, and Kyung-oh from Korea will be on the left side boulder. 5 minutes to climb.
Exactly, and this is Kyung-oh's very first semifinal. And I mean, last weekend she was 36th, or not last weekend, in Seoul she was 36th. And so this is her first weekend in the United States competing at this Salt Lake World Cup, and she's already in the semifinal at just 16 years old. So lots of talent, lots of young talent out here.
Yeah, lots of young talent across the bouldering circuit, and Korea showing up in force. We're going to see that pop up several times over in the semifinal round today. They came out and their athletes climbed very well yesterday, as we see Nathan here establishing the zone on his first try.
Honestly, this is so impressive. I did get a chance to forerun the boulders a bit last night and hang out with the route setters, and this move right here that he's making quite easily is very difficult, as was the one below, trying to be able to find that balance point on these very difficult, awkward volumes to hold, and being able to get his feet so high, very tricky, and he is nailing it. But he is from Great Britain, and they do know how to slab climb.
They do. If you climb on gritstone, you're used to no texture except where you're grabbing.
You know how to stand on those feet.
You know how to get on the pebbles and use the feet. And even here you see he's thrown all of his center of mass to the left to just try and use this lean back. He's doing this, we call it a lie back on where his right hand is, but he has to come all the way across, and it's really insecure. But maybe. Is Nathan Phillips going to get a flash? Yes, he is.
Incredible start to his semifinal round. Obviously very familiar with being in semifinals, and he's been on the World Cup circuit for quite some time, so not surprised with such a veteran athlete as Kyung tries to figure out this tricky foot match here, actually. So the key to finding a better balance point is to actually go to the right side of that volume. When we get a peek at that volume again, I can talk about it a bit more, because that foot swap is really tricky. She's on the right path, definitely trying to get into that foot swap, but she's just not in the right stance to make it easier. I think she could do it this way, but it's definitely going to be harder. So let's see if she can figure it out.
It's a small, it's an expression we use, it's a small box to start. So anytime we're looking at those 4 pieces of green tape on one hold, you have to have all 4 limbs touching a piece of green tape, a hold marked by a piece of green tape. So she's got to get both hands and both feet established here on this little volume. So you have to pick the foot that allows you to get on the volume, but in order to do the next move, you need to make that foot swap. So clever little pieces of route setting where you have to make delicate moves. And
this is smart. She's trying to start with the other foot.
And just maybe make the first move harder, but will definitely make the second move easier.
Exactly. And honestly, establishing on this boulder is kind of tricky as well, because you do have to rock up with, I mean, I think you could do it with your right foot, but I think easier with your left foot. So rocking up, and then you start pulling, but then you have to remember to pause to tap that right foot to actually establish on the boulder with all 4 points before you actually can move to that next hold.
Yeah, this might be even one of those boulders where we see some people, not quite get that. You see the right tap. That's enough. That's all you need to get a fair start on the boulder. But people might get here and then forget to tap. And as soon as you touch the next hold, you would be out. So rules are rules. And with 1 minute to go, it's taken
very nice.
Kyung 4 minutes of work, but has got into the first real comfortable position that we've seen.
Which isn't that comfy, actually, because that left foot is very difficult to stand on. The further up the left foot, the flatter it gets. So you kind of want to stay in the middle, but then you have to propel your body out to that press, which I found took you into the volume, but not quite into the zone, which is kind of tricky.
Critical difference.
And honestly, I think it's going to be one of those boulders where when people do get to the press and they get the zone the one time, they'll actually stop using it, because it puts you in a strange position, because it's just far enough away that you don't really want to be there. You want to be higher up in the volume. So see if she figures out. Only 10 seconds, though, so definitely running down her time here.
Yeah, and sometimes we get slow climbing boulders, and sometimes we get boulders that you're so engaged right off the bat, and this is one of those where it took her a long time to just solve the body position, even just to get up into that first hold. So you're going to see, we have 20 semifinalists to go through, so you are going to see lots of different small changes in technique. You're going to see lots of different approaches, and as we get into the middle and top of the field, they come out in reverse order. So the 20th qualifiers come out first, not always the case, but as often is the case, they're a little bit farther down the field in terms of that ability. The top quarter of the field is generally our perennial semifinalists and finalists. So generally at the beginning of the round, you'll see a lot more slips and falls. And then as the stronger, quote unquote, athletes come out, you'll see some boulders getting put down a little bit quicker. Every now and then, of course, you see some dark horses having a great day in the semi, and you see some people who had a bad qualifier and who popped late into the qualification, into the semifinal. And I have seen athletes go from 20th into the finals many times.
Oh yeah, happens all the time.
Very quick work from Paul Jemft on the right side, getting into that zone, sorting the beginning of that slab boulder out very well.
And if you've been watching the circuit this year, you've definitely seen him in a couple finals already, placing 4th in Meiringen and then again in Seoul. So he's definitely looking to get back into the final, as he was just out of the semi last weekend. So nicely with one hand, and is gonna get that top with ease.
There you go. So as you say, even after you might have a weekend, and it doesn't take much in a World Cup to miss a semifinal.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard. The field is so strong. Wow, Giorgia Tezio quickly
motoring through.
And honestly, I wish we could have seen her get through that pulling up section. It's kind of tricky. It's a lot on that right hamstring to pull up there. Now this last move into the finishing hold, getting one hand's not so bad, but finding the balance point in the foot placement, which outright is better, and she's gonna make it happen.
Whoa!
Just shows how slippery it is. Definitely got the top, but as she was getting ready to prep to come down, just slipped off.
There are no jibs on that big white triangular volume. It is only friction keeping you on. You even see some boot rubber streaks from the forerunning in the root setting. So there are no helping little holds on that. The balance point is very tricky. You have to be very careful, while at the same time generating just a little bit of momentum to go match that finish. So that is going to be a fun one to watch as we go through the round. And as happens in the semifinal, the 5-minute clock runs because people are resting. So we wait until that hits 0 before we get our next climbers out. Paul Jemft there with a smile to match the top, maybe getting back on form, as you say, missing the semifinal last week.
Yeah.
And then watch this, the slip, as she's like, yeah, I'm good. That's a really good look.
As long as you celebrate after you fully get the top, it's fine. I'll always go back to, I don't know if anyone else remembers, but it broke my heart when Manu, 2016 Paris World Championship, celebrated just a smidge too early and lost the top on one of the boulders in finals. And whoo,
it drives coaches crazy. You'll see them grab the finish hold, turn around, fist pump, wave to the crowd. Sometimes they'll swap hands, do it again,
and they still
haven't established. They still have not matched the finish hold. So you have to have both hands. You have to show established control of the finish hold. And I mean, it's great for the crowd, loves it, but match first,
and then
celebrate after.
As long as you want. Yeah. Actually, during qualifiers yesterday for the women, Franziska Sterer did that on the 5th boulder, and she was on quite a good hold, but I still, every time I like hold my breath because I'm just so nervous.
Yeah, anything can happen. It's an unpredictable
Honestly,
environment.
a hold could spin. I mean, it's likely not to because there's set screws, but you never know. Just get the match and then celebrate. Yeah. It'll make me feel better. It's honestly for me.
If for nothing else, Megan would feel better if you matched and then celebrated.
But I get it. It's awesome to top boulders. It's the best feeling ever. And speaking of topping boulders, there were a lot of tops yesterday in both the men's and the women's field. It was one of the highest topping, well, not the highest, but it was a very high topping round.
Yeah, we had 5 tops going sort of 10 deep on both sides in both genders, and it's absolutely not uncommon to see the top 4 or 5 climbers out of qualifiers, even the top 4 or 5 in each side if they split, and we'll get in, maybe we might have time to get into that where they split the round. But having 5 tops 10 deep on both sides is quite a lot, and then you had 4. You got in with 3 on the women's side, but on the men's side, but only the last couple. So only the last 3, I think, got in with 3. So 4 tops to get into a semifinal round puts the pressure on execution.
It really does, and it's weird because it's hard to tell as an athlete. Like, you can have an inkling that maybe a lot of people are topping, but you really don't know.
No.
Because the amount of times that you do like a boulder or two and you think, wow, I did terrible, and the next thing you know, you're into the next round. So it's just really hard to tell while you're out there. It's one of those things.
Yeah, you stomp on a boulder and you're like, everyone's going to stomp this boulder.
Exactly.
But sometimes
no one does.
Could just be you. Could just be you. All right, so now we're 4. It's starting to it will get exciting. It builds up. I kind of love the build up of a semifinal. And now we've got, for the first time, Yutong Zhang for the ladies and Zach Gala. So the crowd will perk up a little bit, seeing an American jersey out here for the first time. And then Kei Young Oh and Nathan Phillips have returned for boulder number 2. Just have a look on the bottom of your screen there. T0 and Z0. That is the tops and zones, and then number of attempts to get to each one of those. So that's how we're going to try and keep that updated as we go. There is live scoring. If you get on the live scoring app, you will see after every boulder updates of how each climber is doing.
Zach trying to place that toe hook, which it's a comfortable position, but it doesn't really get you anywhere, which is kind of like, it's not purposely a trap. It just happens to be that way because it's a volume and you can find a toe hook, but unfortunately it doesn't really help you move up. So he has to figure out how to get that right foot up as he's moving his hips to the left, doing a good job to create that ability to rock up on that terrible, terrible volume. He's kind of like cupping and pressing on, but nicely into the zone now, figured it out. Very patient oriented, this boulder. You definitely don't want to rush it.
And coming out as your first boulder from isolation, from warm-up, you do have some adrenaline going. It's very exciting to come out for a World Cup semifinal. Very good save. But this is, you know, the kind of boulder you have to calm down and be patient. So sometimes it's nice to come out from ISO and flex your muscles and swing around a boulder and really get that energy level matched. But to have to bring everything down to a slab boulder is, it's a wonderful little tool that the route setters use, and we've seen it quite a bit over the course of, there we go, Zach Gala.
Nicely done.
Staying established.
So this is how it's going. These slabs are actually, I like that this is happening because it is, these slab climbs are very tricky, the finishing moves, in the sense that they're hard to kind of stand on your feet without slipping, and they're able to do it to get control, but the fact that they're slipping right afterwards just shows how slippery it really is. So. And
you even saw Zach just sort of looking at the judge, and then you saw him kind of make that, like,
yeah, like, okay,
puffed his cheeks
I can
out
now
like,
breathe.
Woo, I might have got away with one there.
Kai Young on the women's number 2 boulder, which is very different from number 1 for the women because it is straight coordination. Honestly, it's coordination the entire way through, with this opening jump being one of the trickier ones I feel like I'd been on in a while. And it's interesting because when you look at it, you think, oh, I really want to jump aggressively and then I'll, you know, fall into that undercling catch. But you actually don't want to jump as much as you think, and you really want to be jumping up more than to the right. And it just isn't that obvious, but that was a really good attempt. It looks like she's in the right zone at this point to figure out that coordination move, which these moves, as we know, are very learned.
Yeah, it takes you 5 minutes to suss out your sequence, make sure that you've got it dialed in, and then learn a complex movement. And something that might take your average climber, you know, an hour in a session with all the rest in the world and none of the pressure, essentially gets done in, by the time you've brushed and looked, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So it is always really impressive to watch how quickly athletes will adjust and adapt in an on-site round. So they have not seen the boulders before. If you're not super familiar with how qualifying semifinals works in a World Cup, wow, that's an excellent save. That right foot, and she managed to, all the tension just appeared through her arms to make that save.
Yeah, really good save.
Good from Yutong.
And she's in a nice position to not have to go so aggressively into this press and get right to the zone. Earlier I was saying it was kind of awkward to get into the zone, but because she has her right foot there instead of her left foot, she's not falling into it as aggressively and goes straight to the zone. But still had a little slip there because that foot is so slippery. Kai Young so close on this coordination move.
I mean, you have to get, I mean, you can get the right hand first, but the right hand and the right foot have to come down pretty much together to get that opposition in play.
Totally, and the biggest thing about that undercling catch is the fact that you really need to be above it. If you're below it at all, it's almost impossible to actually stick it. Yutong in a nice position here again. So this position with her hands a little lower is also another way you could do the foot switch. Ooh,
got it
left
perfect.
foot is so slippery.
We're just going to get a string of examples. We're going to tell you how slippery it is, and then you're going to see that when World Cup level climbers are slipping off that unexpectedly, that explosively, then you know how gnarly that is. And I just wanted to go back to what I was mentioning. They climb these boulders for the first time, so they've never seen them before. We call that on-site climbing. We get a look here at Yutong's probably her best attempt.
So close.
Yeah.
She did try to just stop there, which that was the conversation with the route setters, actually, if that was possible. I do think it could be possible, but I do think it will take a lot of effort and might not be worth it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a question to be asked very often is it worth it?
It's all about conserving, right? Especially in the qualifying and semifinal rounds. You have 5 boulders in qualies, 4 boulders in semis, but you're really just trying to make it to that final, and you have to conserve energy to compete in each round on each boulder. We're going right to left on the wall. The boulders in the center are very overhanging. So all of these things are strategies that the climbers are thinking about in terms of conserving their energy as they try to solve all these puzzles.
Yep, Colin Duffy now out on the slab boulder, and just on the left you see Nanako Kura out for the first time. Colin has been climbing very well at the tail end of last year, and then this year he's maybe approaching a breakout season.
Yeah,
But an excellent young climber from the US.
100%, and he was in finals in Meiringen and got 5th, just out of finals last weekend. Or not out of finals, out of semis last weekend. So he's definitely psyched to get back into the semis this weekend, hoping to get back into that final.
Yeah, he's one of those, I mean, there are so many in this field that feel they should be able to make a semifinal every time. So when they miss a semi, the chip on the shoulder maybe gets a little bit larger. And
it is tough.
Yeah, it's so hard. The field is just so deep, and the variability in boulder styles, and whether it's going to be your day or not. Colin Duffy.
Oh, just falling out.
Just not really getting. I mean, didn't have any perches. He was close enough to touch, but not close enough to put real weight into that underhang.
Paul jumped high up.
Yes, this essentially, I mean, it's almost a campus boulder. The feet here are not good at all, and they just start pushing you away. A great look at the angle.
At the overhanging angle, but not a good look at where he's going, unfortunately. Hard to see where that next move is, but I believe, if I remember correctly, he has to go left hand to a Gaston, and so but I could be wrong. My memory might be a little off, because I also cannot see from where we are sitting.
We're going to get a look at it, don't worry. We got lots of climbers. It's going to happen.
Nanako Kura high up on women's #1. Let's see if she can figure out the right foot placement to get in, to get over. This is interesting too, because this position is comfortable, but the more you move your feet out right, it starts to become more and more uncomfortable, and then you're like in it. Yeah, so you have to really commit. Just at the bottom of the screen, you can see Georgia Tezio very close to sticking, and Nanako awesomely getting that top. Just again, another slip right after getting the top, which just again shows that these volumes are hard to stand on, and hopefully everyone's brushing them.
Colin a little higher this time. The dual texture, his fingers aren't getting any friction.
Foot slip there.
Yeah, the shininess, that's something that's come into hold making in the last handful of years, is adding this, the very shiny surfaces that you see have no texture. They're like your kitchen countertop. They are very slippery.
Oddly enough, with the rubber, they are sometimes not as bad to stand on as you would think. There's a lot of trust. Oh my gosh, so close on that attempt. She's figuring it. She still has time too. I'm very interested to see, because the next movement, or getting to the zone is okay, but the move after the zone is another committing coordination move. And there's a few ways to do it, but you really have to commit after already being fully committed on the jump. So I can't wait to see someone get up there.
There's an interesting anticipation for us to you, is that we've talked about the boulders. Megan's climbed the boulders while forerunning and being part of that process. So we know what's coming. So we're waiting. We're waiting to be able to show you what we know is going to be exciting in this semifinal. Oh my goodness,
Good
Colin
save
Duffy.
There.
You see, just needs to solve. I would almost argue the left foot needs to be higher.
And honestly, like, if he can get that right heel up too on the zone, we've seen a couple men do it that way, and it's just a better position to bring that right hand up.
As soon as you shock load a foothold that's that bad, Georgia's slowing down, but
tried to just stay again.
And it's worth it for her to try and get a zone here.
Yes.
4 seconds is enough.
Good. Come
on. Wow, yes.
Nice.
She is going to get the zone.
She will get the zone.
Wow,
good
that
effort.
is a sprint.
Well, at least we think she should get the zone. It'll be up to the judges, but I believe. Okay.
Yes.
I can't really see that, but
zone
we'll
in
see.
4.
Awesome. Amazing to see her stick it with just standing on the red or staying on the red. That was really awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of ground to cover in a very short amount of time. And now we have Jakob Schubert and
very familiar face.
Very familiar face, and then a crowd, a big cheer for Chloe Koskoy, and of course Zach Gala is back out. So a couple of American jerseys now getting this crowd wound up, and Jakob Schubert, a veteran on the tour, and I love he's been doing this all last weekend as well. He's got a towel that's half wet and half dry. So he can clean his shoes and his hands and then immediately dry them back off again. Zach Gala.
Yeah, this is a great look at men's number 2.
Just a powerful boulder.
This is a boulder that Zach would really excel at. He has a lot of finger strength, a lot of body control. I mean, strength is really his strength in climbing. So the fact that there are not a lot of feet at the start and he can campus. Oh, that Gaston. I was right.
Wow.
Nicely done.
Zach Gala.
Match!
No!
Oh my gosh.
Megan says match.
What? I mean,
Megan
come on.
says match first.
I know it's a jug, but can we match before we look at the crowd?
That's great. Zach Gala with a flash, a first try send of boulder number 2.
Arguably a boulder that was made for him.
Yeah. And injected a little more energy into the crowd, which sort of cycles back through. The athletes love to hear that. Jakob Schubert, who is always a crowd favorite no matter where he is. He's just been on the tour for so long, and he's been so successful.
And podiumed at the Olympics.
Yes.
2020 Olympics, 3rd place.
That's not how to do that, Jakob.
Chloe Koskoy on the left, nicely getting into this press. Ooh, this is interesting. Pressing this way. Oh, maybe this is the way you're supposed to do it. I think maybe I did not do it right.
Jakob going a little bit unorthodox on the right side and getting a slip. And Chloe solving it just a slightly different way to put the puzzle together.
Definitely a much less strenuous way, I will say. Very smart climbing from Chloe Koskoy.
And here, one of the taller semifinalists, not having to really lean past the center of gravity and doing a very good job. I believe 2nd try. So 1 try to solve the beginning and then top on her 2nd try. That's huge.
I also have to say, when you watch these athletes top and then drop down, it is so much higher than it seems. I personally forgot about that. And last night, I have to say, every time I was up high and was going to have to drop, I was very scared. And I've never felt like that competing, but not competing, I was like, wow, these are so tall. I cannot believe, I forgot, and I'm scared, and my knees.
And they come on my knees and
my back. And
they
just like drop down.
And they just drop.
Like it's nothing.
Or they come off sort of very casually.
Oh,
I wonder if she can reach. No, an interesting approach. We're going to talk more about this boulder as the round goes on, but that's the look at the angle. And when they pull onto the start, the move is a lot more involved than it might just sort of visually appear. You can't really see that.
There we go.
Oh, good. Very good work.
I was going to say that move to the crimp is kind of blind, and you really have to line it up with the point where the top of the volume kind of forms a triangle, because the hold is past that, but you really can't see anything. So you have to go slow enough, but high enough to then get it. Jakob back up on men's number 1, trying to figure out how to get through this finish. This is one of those boulders that you either figure out that body position right away, or you really have to try to find it, and it starts to get into that panic zone time of, I'm running out of time, I need to get to the top. Also, men have gone before and come back pretty quickly, so you know it's being topped as you're waiting in the secondary isolation. So there's all that added stress, especially because at the beginning of the round, the best thing that can happen is getting that first boulder done.
Yeah, you want to get that first one out of the way, as it were. You want to feel like you've got your legs under you and that everything's as warm. I'm talking to Miho Nanaka yesterday saying, she's like, I didn't really feel that I was warm enough. So, you know, and the first boulder didn't warm her up. So she was sort of chasing it the whole round. So you want to come out and feel like everything's firing. Jakob back up again. He's just having trouble with the last move and making sure that the transfer of weight isn't unweighting his feet. And that's what we've seen every time is just got to get this right. And it's highlighting.
Better position here.
Highlighting Paul and Nathan's. Look at this.
Oh, no.
Oh, that
honestly, I feel like he didn't need to bring his foot up one
no,
more
you're right.
step,
I think he
and that kind of put him in an odd position. I will say, with starting with the slabs in this round specifically, those first two slabs, the one for the men and the one for the women, they are definitely more powerful slabs than just a straight slab. Like, you guys didn't get to see all of the qualifiers yesterday, but maybe you saw snippets on Instagram. But the boulders were a little less powerful. Yeah, this paddle move is
and it's not just
tricky.
a dyno, And there
so tricky.
A look at Jakob not getting his foot right, and he's you can see that he's one of those climbers that shows emotion on the mat. Some climbers don't; they're very stone-faced. Jakob lets you know how he's feeling, and there was frustration in his eyes there. Okay, next out we have Yoshiyuki Ogata on the right from Japan, and another American. A very strong showing from the American women this round. We have Kylie Cullen.
And speaking of slabs, Kylie Cullen loves slabs. She's got great footwork, always has. I actually watched her come up through the youth circuit and then onto the adult elite circuit. And one thing she's always been good at is slabs. And also, when she can do boulders, she's very good at flashing them.
So when she gets it right, she gets it right.
Yeah,
First try, best try we have.
She will likely flash. She's not one to do a lot of attempts. Georgia Tezio working her way through women's number 3. Definitely the most powerful boulder of the round. As you see, she was trying to get into that toe hook, really reading it nicely. What's hard about this one is that middle section. It's very strenuous, and the more times you actually have to do it, the harder it is to keep doing it over and over again.
Holding tension on bad
100%.
holds all the way through, and not a lot of vertical ground to cover, but a lot of movement. We're going to see a lot of hand and foot swaps as we watch the women come through there. Colin Duffy, another one of these young climbers with very, very, very good finger strength, sort of at the top end of the scale. They all have great finger strength, but Colin is in the very good finger strength side of things. I've seen him do some pretty ridiculous things. Paul Jeanft here, staring down the first move.
Oh,
I don't know about that. Interesting, but maybe not good.
If he can catch this high enough, then he can get into the zone. That was a really nice attempt there. I do think maybe leaving that left hand low and stopping might be more ideal, but either way.
Oh my goodness.
Nice job.
Just like that, Nanaka. Topping out boulder number 2.
Hopefully we get a replay of that one. It's a really exciting boulder. The movement on it is extremely fun and exciting to watch. Yoshiyuki.
And then Kylie in the background. Yes. If that's the first, that's the only time it happens. I'll be surprised. There with the heel hook.
Heel hook, definitely a little safer body position to get into. Nicely done there.
Very secure. So it might have taken him a couple swings at the beginning, 2 minutes. I don't think he looked at that boulder for too long, but it is a slower climbing boulder. So if you have the results, I encourage you to follow along. We're going to try and keep you updated as we go, but it is a very dynamic round. Of course, attempts matter. If you're fairly new, Kylie Cullen here, is she going to get the position right? Yes, she is.
Really
very nice.
Done.
The idea in all bouldering competitions is tops. We want to get to the top of boulders, and tops rule the scoreboard. They just rule. It's great to get tops. It feels great. You get to celebrate. You get to match. And then we also have the zone. So the zone hold you see in the middle of all the boulders, it's marked, and the climbers, it's one of the things they look for in their preview. The zone we break ties with, and then we look at attempts. So you want to get to the top in the least number of tries possible. If you can do four boulders in 4 attempts total, they're stopping.
That was so
very cool. Paul Jeanft now.
I love when athletes really just go with their gut and what feels good to them. And, everyone has different skill sets, dimensions, height, all of that. So he just took advantage of his height there and his ability to make that happen.
There is flexibility. That inside-out heel hook,
yeah.
I don't think we're going to see everybody doing that. Paul Jean with the top of Boulder 3. That's excellent work. And given that some of the climbers, immediately behind him have not had that success coming through, interesting to see. Maybe bump yourself up a few spots in the ranking by making things go as they should.
I really like this men's number 2 start because it's got 3 tape marks on the left and 1 on the right. So with the start holds, you can use all the start holds to get into the orientation, right? To be in that stabilized, established position. And I think sometimes people don't know that because it's a little confusing. But yeah, as long as they're start holds, you can grab them all as long as you establish with the right amount of limbs in the right order with the tape. You can use the start hold to get into that position any way possible. Another look at Kylie Cullen's
you see
top.
that left leg had a little waver in it.
Which I didn't notice it when she did it, but with the slow-mo, it's definitely more obvious. She looked so relieved as she got down.
Sometimes you see athletes, we told climbing underwater, you see them holding their breath, the clenched jaws. Like the amount of physical effort that goes into holding body tension. So tension across a line, that's maybe from your left foot across to your right hand.
Well.
Yeah, the breath holding, the core that is involved. So you don't just need strong fingers to be a World Cup climber. If you're just getting into climbing, maybe if you're a little bit newer to the sport, it's a full body activity. So the stronger you are, at full extension. So imagine when we talk about being in our power box, sort of from your shoulders to your knees, where every limb is bent in a perfect angle. But when you get way out, how good are you in keeping tension on your feet when they're not where you want them? And that's World Cup bouldering. Is the route setters put you in uncomfortable positions, and they ask you to be strong outside of where you're normally going to be strong. So that's what you're going to see is the adaptability, and all the pieces of the puzzle are going to put you into a World Cup final. Young-Oh here showing us boulder number 4. This is the really risky slab on the women's side. They got 1 to start and 1 to finish, so they got to come back out for their last boulder and again move calmly and consistently. That one's going to be fun to watch as we see one of my favorite climbers out now, Greg Vazonik on the right and Jennifer Wood from Great Britain on the left.
Gregor nicely into the zone, really committing to the cupping of that left hand to be able to bring his foot up easily. Just needs to figure out the position. Off camera, there was a top for Jakob Schubert, which is why the crowd was going wild.
And then
just
Gregor
lost it
there,
at the end for
lost
Gregor.
It there, and maybe just missed his chin on the way down, which always a little bit exciting. Chloe Koskoy there, and now Kye-Young getting up into
figuring it out.
Ooh,
definitely figuring it out. It's a lot. So a lot of pressing on that left leg today for the women with the start of this round, and over here on this last slab boulder. This one, to me, is a lot slower than the first one. The first one has a few more moves that are, more committing, like falling into that press and whatnot. This one, more of a truer slab, or what you would think of as a slab in a competition. Lots of slow moving, adjusting, wrapping, crimping, small holds, small feet that you have to stand on.
Tiny
you can see
adjustments.
There's little screw-ons in those dishy feet out right that they have to stand in. So,
and the adjustments are very minor in the difference between success and failure on true slab. You can have your foot a little bit left, a little bit right. You can have your hips and your angles off by only a couple of degrees. We're talking about fractions. It's a game of centimeters and sometimes millimeters.
Or
at this
inches if you're an American. I mean, from the United States, I should say.
As the only nation in the world
that doesn't use the metric system. Guilty.
So you're going to watch, if you're sort of getting into being a true fan of this level of climbing, you're starting to look for the difference between attempt 1, 2, and 3. Did the climber make an adjustment that's noticeable, that's not, we're past left hand, right hand going in the right order. We're looking at all of the subtleties that Megan and I are talking about. So that's, it's fun to dig down into those corners of these boulders and just watch from attempt to another what adjustments are being made. And Kye-Young now getting, maybe just a little slower. So she rushed the zone. Maybe she's now just going to find a slightly different balance point, but you have to leave the left hand to get to the zone. I love devilishly clever route setting here. I love this kind of move.
And it should be noted that that zone hold is blocked, so it's all about staying close enough into the wall with her hips. Chloe trying to figure out this last coordination. Ooh, going with the flip method. There's a lot going on up there. You could maybe catch a toe, catch a heel. Maybe the flip will work, maybe it won't. And it's hard because you already have that coordination move below, and then you're forced to figure it out again. Ooh, so close for Zach Gao on men's number 3. Really looked like he was floating that time.
And didn't quite get enough pull off that first hold to get the height to the zone, but he wasn't moving erratically. He moved very smoothly through there.
Jennifer Wood nicely through that foot swap here.
Time is ticking though, 25.
Oh, just rushed it.
Yeah, can't afford to.
You really have to inch your way over on that volume with your hand. Chloe setting up for this coordination move again. Oh, found the heel, but hips were just a little too far out, but really nice climbing there from Chloe Koskoy.
Quick glance
and
at the clock.
Having a good time.
Yeah, having fun. It's, I mean, why not? It's a semifinal. And then
gotta have fun.
Kei Young is gonna take it right down to the wire on the last boulder, and they often will.
Good effort for her first semifinal. Yeah. Really cool to see her definitely figure things out as she progressed through the round. I thought she climbed really well.
And it's part of your
hips just so far out.
So far away from the wall.
You really honestly need to be standing up as if you were going to brush your chest against the wall in order to kind of slip into that heel hook, which also can catch the heel or the calf, like all over the place.
All the pieces of that boulder coming into play. And getting, in your first season, getting a taste of the difficulty of a semifinal allows you to maybe ratchet up your training a little bit. I was talking to a couple of Canadians who made their first semifinal last weekend, and Guy was saying that it's an understanding now of, oh my goodness, this is what I need to train, but it's next year. Right, you're not going to get stronger in a World Cup season, so it opens the door.
You might not get stronger, but
you can get smarter.
You can get smarter, and you can pay attention to the subtle things. And honestly, so much of being successful in these competitions is the subtleties.
Yoshiyuki Ogata doing exactly that. Yes, no problem.
I love that he went with the 2 hands. I love the 2-hand commitment. It's also better for the shoulders. Obviously, the risk is falling off that high off up in on the wall, but
that boulder's in his style.
It's very much
if you were going to make me bet, I would bet Yoshiyuki Ogata would send that boulder. I don't bet a lot in World Cup boulders because I'm wrong more than I'm right, but I would have definitely bet that he would have sent that. And Anjay Pahart's also getting the heel hook. I think that's going to be the way.
It really
and he's one of the taller climbers in this round.
Yeah, so that flexibility there, definitely possible for a lot of other athletes. Holly Tootill on the upper part of women's number 1. Also, I love that every woman we've seen get up here is doing it this way. It is definitely the method to go with, less aggressive on the hamstrings and safer.
Just so careful, safer.
Well, we've had a lot of injuries this weekend and last weekend, so definitely want everyone to be safe.
You see that? Yeah, she's adjusting to get farther right and then having still to go back to that left. There we go.
Nicely done.
Very nicely done. Do we need a hashtag? Is it Mom Megan? Are you overseeing? You're looking after your athletes here?
I just want everyone to stay healthy.
Just everyone to stay healthy. I want everyone to match before they celebrate. I want everyone to stay healthy.
Make my life easier. Make me less stressed.
Oh,
match before you celebrate.
From Georgia Tessio.
So nice. So slow.
Yeah,
so slow and
so much control.
She's
had
a great round so far.
Yeah, 2 tops there. You see a full bar in that graphic is a top.
The hardest move, and she almost did it. That hold she's going to is very bad, and she really needs to hit it or go to it slowly. But there's not really anything you can bite down on. So you need to go so slow, but you also have to go fast enough to get over on it.
Colin Duffy fighting this dyno, showing you. I mean, the springy climber's not getting even to the first hold of that coordination move. I mean, it might be a 6-foot dyno. It's tough to measure. Paul Jeanft here on his last boulder. So can he get a 3rd top?
This boulder did get topped earlier by Nathan Phillips, so we know it's possible.
And he's
so close.
Skipping the zone. Paul Jeanft is going to top boulder number 4, and he is absolutely psyched about that. That performance, Megan coming out to the top of the field,
Oh,
3 tops?
Yeah.
That might be enough.
So he's in a good spot. So Kylie Cullen trying to go static here. I wondered if that was possible. Decided to change her mind and go with that coordination, quicker method, which I think will set her up for more success as Nanako Kura tries to set up for that toe hook. You got to get that toe hook over to then pull through that section. And even once you get the toe, though, getting over left onto that next hold is very difficult. Georgia Tessio back up on women's number 4. Already got to the zone, so she's in a great spot. This is her last boulder of the round, can lay it all out here.
She has to be so careful. As you were saying, this is the hardest move.
Yes, this is the hardest move.
And the foot, I mean, you have to get away from the wall to get that left foot in.
She's in a nice
My
position.
goodness.
You can kind of see how bad that hold is.
The smallest waver. I mean, she leaned out. Colin Duffy!
Was a top.
He pulled that out of the
going
ashes.
Crazy. I know. I hope we get a little replay later off camera. I could see him catch that jump. It was wild.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, I had almost written that one off. I mean, he was 4 or 5 attempts deep of not even looking like he was going to stick the zone. And then, boom, done.
Absolutely nailed it. Definitely a boulder that I would expect him to do well on, but sometimes those coordination moves, you just can't solve them.
5 seconds.
Oh, that was
goodness.
cool. I mean, wouldn't have worked, but she had to
Yeah.
rush it. Unfortunately, that top hold is a very bad volume with a screw-on that is dual tech, so you really have to go slow, but I like the effort.
I love the effort.
Of trying anyway. I love when people do that.
Yoshiyuki, I mean, he's so powerful.
So powerful.
As designed, he loves a springy boulder. He loves coordination. He loves to swing around on the wall. Very nice from Holly as well.
Always the best feeling to get a top on that first boulder. Nicely done on that coordination.
You can see the undercling.
Move.
We were talking about how you need to be high up on it.
It's tricky.
And that's a good look at it. Very good. Yes. She actually said that
I know,
out loud in the middle of a boulder.
Let's see it one more time.
Yeah. Yes.
And then focus. It was like yes to focus.
Okay, I'm back to rock climbing.
Paul jumped. Let's see him skip that zone again. That
Very
was
interesting.
Wild.
That was wild. I mean,
he is
showed
one
that
of the taller
inside-out
competitors, and clearly lots of hip flexibility. Honestly, too, like the strength in his tendons around his knee to be able to do that without like completely blowing it out is impressive.
I agree.
I saw him stretching in ISO actually. He's so flexible. His
take
coach
advantage.
was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some climbers are tall. Some are powerful. They're all strong. But you take the tools you have and you apply them on the boulder. Paul Jean showing you on 2 separate occasions his ability to put his heel up in his chest and then use it. And that, I promise you, is not easy. Zach Yala
Finding that knee bar.
finding that little knee bar. Yes, getting just a little bit of extra purchase.
Nice save.
Oh.
I think he has another. He's got a bit of a. Oh no, maybe he's just balancing.
Really good.
Other hand, Zach.
Just match.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna have to have a talk with him later about matching before he looks out to the crowd. It's gonna mess up my stress levels.
Megan's already getting the text message ready.
Yep.
Okay, Zach. Ross Fulkerson now.
I need to have a word.
And on the left, Camila Moroney.
Ross, early slip on this boulder, but I don't think it's too detrimental. I feel like if you can top this boulder, you're in a good spot.
Yeah,
Because
tops.
a lot of people have, if they haven't slipped at the bottom, they have slipped at the top. Yes, it's been flashed a few times, but I think it's still one of those boulders where a little mistake here and there is okay.
Yeah, there's room.
Read this beautifully.
I think there's enough risk put into these boulders. Really nice, Ross Fulkerson. There's enough risk across the round that no one's going to go perfect. So take your slips where you can.
I would be very impressed if somebody was perfect.
But I suppose we could bet on it now. I don't want to, but
we'll see what happens.
we see what happens.
Nanaka, oh sorry, Yutong Zhang getting into, just losing the balance a little bit there, trying to
Obviously
stand
tired.
up.
Even
Yeah.
the mat just pulls you in.
Big slip there for Camila Moroney. Plenty of time to figure it out. I hope everyone is brushing that foothold though, because it is getting worse and worse.
Jennifer Wood Just gotta solve that. Swing through. Jakob
Oh,
Schubert
no,
getting
at
very
the
close.
last second. So close.
And that's enough. I mean, he's obviously done that a couple times. 1:45 left on the clock. But that was, he slowed down far
done
enough.
a few ways. Either they stick it with the left hand down low or bringing the left hand in to match. Depends on what they want.
What?
Nicely done.
That was great.
Jennifer Wood able to
real power to hold that.
Oh, about to go for a slower method, realizing now that it's probably more dynamic and coordinated.
Oh.
So, again, tricky here. When you get up there, I think from the ground, nice.
Yes, Jakob Schubert.
Jakob Schubert on the zone as Chloe Koskoy tries to figure out how to get into this next hold.
And lots of time. That's as good as we've seen on the women's boulder. Jakob Schubert now just needs to keep his tension. Yes, he's going to get a top. Yes,
nice.
He's excited. That's how you celebrate. Jakob likes from the crowd.
Well deserved. Georgia Tezio actually did top women's number 3 earlier, so it does have one top, but it was off camera, so unfortunately we haven't got to see anybody up there yet.
It'll happen.
Hope so. It's interesting because where Chloe fell, if she just did one more move, she would have been in a more comfortable position to then like reset for a second. But it is grapply, that third boulder.
Excellent descriptor. It is grapply.
Pebble wrestling. Yutong Zane taking her last attempt, which last boulder, you definitely run down the clock if you can.
And
or if you have to.
You saw her kind of looking at a different, and can I go around this volume that's giving me fits to this point. 4 or 5 attempts is what you see Jakob. That was the one where he just missed, but jumped up right away to brush, and then that's the top. And then a little bit of a come on now, and the crowd likes it. Yeah, I love that. Hand behind the ear, I hear you. Bring it home. Yeah, so on a boulder like the boulder on the left of your screen, women's number 3, you might only get 2 or 3 attempts. You know, if you get up into the middle on that slab boulder, you might get 2 or 3 because it climbs really slowly. So not a lot of these on the left side. The coordination boulder, you get as many tries as you want because the first move is quite tricky. But
if you're making it to the middle section of women's number 3, you're probably only going to get a couple tries. If there's a way to have more if you keep falling on that very first move, but that's really the only place where you could just kind of keep trying because the middle section is so full body intensive. That angle is very overhanging.
So you have to manage this. You see everyone now, Tomoaki, Takata, and Stashigeo getting up on the wall, you know, in that first 45 seconds. You just maximize the amount of time that you're going to get to spend trying the boulder.
Tomoaki just trying to find the right body position to get into the zone in a very controlled position.
And he's moving very well, very confidently.
See if he finds that heel hook. That has been the highest success rate for the men so far. Getting this heel up.
Look like it.
I don't feel like it's that obvious. And also, if you're a bit taller, you think, I think I can stay from here, right?
I mean, if he sticks it like this with that left flag, oh my goodness.
Oh.
Everything let go. Every time that happens, I tense up in my chair.
You jumped and grabbed me because you were so shocked.
I thought it was going to be fine, and it was absolutely not fine. God, it's right at the point where your weight changes. It's such a subtle boulder. I love seeing that. Yoshiyuki Ogata dropping off.
He wants to go to finals.
And just when you were mentioning earlier about how tall the wall is, we filmed a piece to show in the monthly magazine for the IFSC yesterday where I tried one of the women's slab boulders and missed the last move and was like opening the window. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so high up in the air. It's way up there.
Weirdly, falling is not as scary as dropping. Having to be like, oh, I have to go down there and let go. I think you fall more relaxed when you are falling versus when you drop. I think it's hard not to tense up, and that's why it's kind of scary.
Just watch Yoshiyuki come down there. He was just like floating down, like here I'm landing on the mat. Like
but in a comp, you don't think about it. No. You were just psyched. You have so much on the line.
That's interesting.
I was gonna say. Very interesting. She was up there before already, so she just has to figure out how to get back there. Anje in the zone nicely.
And just
grabbing
hunting for
us
things to
through.
grab. Oh,
Ooh.
wow, that's so gross.
Ooh, Kylie Cullen trying to find a knee bar there.
Yep.
It could work.
Maybe.
I'm not sure it's going to help, honestly. Also, where her left foot is, there is a tiny, tiny blocker there, I believe. At least there was when I did the walkthrough. I can't see it now. It almost looks like they might have taken it off. Sometimes the route setters change, like do little minor tweaks at the very last minute. I don't really see it now on our screen, but about an hour ago it was still there.
Yeah, the route setters are working quite hard at the end of qualifiers to put the semifinal boulders up. So they're working last night, and they're taking into account, as you see on the right side of your screen, the results so far. The full bar means a top, half bar means a zone, and then boulders 1, 2, 3, 4 across the way. Attempts on the right. So here we go, Nanaka.
Such a good look at that hold.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, and
nicely.
she does it. Perfect tension.
It's that little, there's the tiniest little crimp edge, but it's kind of slopey still. It's not amazing. And then you have to slowly
swap or step
feet,
through.
And the step through is very high, and your hands are very far
Lord.
apart. So you're in this very awkward position. And what's unfortunate about that, wow, Holly Two-Tail slowly into that. Now you have to jump, but it's a good hold.
It's a good hold, yeah. She, I thought she was going to short it. She came up very far on the right side, but manages to make it stick. And then, surprisingly to me, Stasha and Tomoaki have not solved Boulder 1. 30 seconds to go. Stasha, if she can...
Oh, smart.
Using that flexibility,
well,
is it going to stick, though?
It puts a lot of pressure on the left foot. That's not really good.
And reaching across your own body like that, she's going to have to give it up. 15, no. And she is fighting.
Buzzer
she knows
beater.
this is the last try. She can't fall and come down.
Nice.
Stasha Gayo.
Getting it done.
9 seconds to go. Really, I love it.
I love her reactions.
Yeah.
She's like, whoo.
Oh my goodness. A little bit of can't believe it took me that long, but I'm happy I did it.
Thankful I got it done. Sometimes it just happens like that, you know.
And
Another look at Jakob trying so hard to stick that. Not going to make it happen on that attempt, but ends up making it happen later on. He's like, can I hear you? Where's the crowd?
Where's the crowd? Bring it home. And then as close as Tomoaki was going to get was that one hand on the top. And as we've seen, the heel up high is going to be the way. A little bit of brushing coming out. And now we're going to have Yuji Inoue and Chaeyun Sao coming out for boulder number 1. And then as we see across the middle, Camila Moroney, Ross Fulkerson, Jennifer Wood, Gregor Vazonik. And then on the far left, we're going to get Chloe Koskoy and Jakob on their last boulders.
Take a look at Jakob here too. Actually establishing on this men's number 4 boulder is extremely difficult.
Did he get both feet on that?
Oh, he did. I
okay, I thought that happened very quickly.
He did. He definitely tapped, but he did about 3 different orientations before he even got moving, and that undercling is super aggressive. So we've seen men on this upper part of the boulder a lot, but actually just establishing is very difficult.
And this is looking good for a flash from Jakob as we see Ross Fulkerson getting up boulder number 2.
So look, he matched, then kept going, celebrated 1 hand, 2 hands. That's the way you do it. Solidify the top and then do all the celebrations you
Make
want.
it happen. Oh, and it just, Chloe there hunting option A as we have Yuji Inoue getting the heel hook method.
Easy.
Really, really well done.
Chaeyun So on the left side, if you watch the Olympics, you definitely saw her competing in the finals. One of the athletes that burst on the scene a couple years prior, having come from the youth side and just started dominating lead competitions. And it's great to see her also succeeding in boulders and had a great showing at the Olympics with an 8th place finish.
And making
quick
work.
So confident too.
Boulder 1, yeah, no
So
hesitation,
confident
no
on her
heels,
feet,
sliding around.
And that's the thing. So many of these athletes, they climb on volume so much. This is what they practice, and there really is no fear. They just really trust their feet and that they can do it.
Yes,
Camila Moroney nicely through that dyno section has to just figure out what to do for this next coordination move because there are a lot of options. And you've never seen the boulder, you've never seen anybody on it.
Oh, the hand press, she's gonna go statically?
Okay, I wondered if that was possible, and I was tempted to try it, but then just committed to the coordination anyway.
Gregor.
I think she could do it, but
you see Gregor Brzonik stopping his momentum on the zone hold that has been spitting people off.
Left and right.
And then this last move is not inconsequential.
You have to stay really tight with the hips. We've seen some men heel hook, he put the toe in. Gregor has great flexibility there, able to make the end. Also, that requires very strong hip flexors.
For the physiologist in you, it's worth noting that there are so many factors in how you're pushing and pulling and the forces that we apply across those body lines that, yeah, you can notice that, oh, just wait a minute, right here, oh, I feel that in my hip flexors, or I feel it like where this,
nice
the back of my knee
catch.
connects, really nice.
Exactly.
Chloe Koskoa here.
I like the confidence in going to the zone. We've seen a lot of the athletes go slower. I think it could work, just maybe set up those feet a little bit more before.
Jennifer Wood, just when we see that move get pieced together with the timing of when you have to cross through and reach, whether you have a heel or a toe, how many variations there are for your feet there, as we have a look at Jakob Schubert getting his top.
Yeah, I think women's number 3 is just cryptic enough to kind of tire the athletes out. And it is the third boulder, although for them, they've had a slab and a coordination, so they should be a little fresher than in some other rounds, you know, if you come from previous.
And Camila makes that one stick. Just the last move now.
Nice.
No mistakes. Camila Moroney, after not getting the zone on Boulder 1.
She really needed to get that top done. Again, another athlete who has been in the finals quite a bit, was in finals last weekend, so you know that she wants to be there again. And after not topping that first boulder, pressure is on.
Yeah, it ratchets up both in your mind and in the reality. Chloe Koskoa, after getting up through looking at the zone, is now having trouble working out the first move. Is going to go to plan C and say, thank you to the crowd, that's all I have.
Great climbing from her today, though.
When we climb on site, you have to have a plan, Megan, and then a backup plan. You look at the boulder, you have no one to talk to. There's no coach around, there's no one helping you. You look at the boulder,
well, they're around. They're around.
We're not talking about it across the fences. So we get a look at Camila's top here. So you have to have a plan, and then you generally need, if that doesn't work, what's my plan B? And then when do I go to plan B? Versus sticking with plan A, but trying maybe a little harder, digging a little deeper. So there's the mental side of when and how to change your plan of attack.
And that's often the trick, right? You don't want to go out and try the same thing over and over again and get stuck in a box, but you also don't want to try something different every single time and keep yourself from figuring out what's working. So it's just really a fine balance, and you know, a lot of these athletes, they will be on the circuit for years, and that comes with more and more experience.
Yeah, you to not panic, you know, and to not
fly.
see the obvious, and to make these things. Oh, no. Left hand letting go for Tomoaki.
A little dry fire there.
And out first, boulder for Kokoro Fuji and Futaba Ito.
Futaba quickly through that foot swap. Definitely one who's really good on her feet. We'll see how she approaches this move. Going with the more dynamic way. Then you have to stand on this upper part on the volume, which is just the little edge.
She is making it look like there are footholds screwed on where there are not.
Really nice.
Kokoro.
Also
not
reading.
Really committing to this move yet, just feeling it out before deciding how to go through that move. Good work from Futaba Ito. And now
he sees it. Oh, toe.
Okay.
Okay.
And he didn't like it. So interesting.
The minute he brought his foot up, I was like, yes, he sees the heel.
And the toe, although it feels like it's the same move, really the difference is significant.
Now
heel versus toe.
He might go to the heel. Yep.
No. So close.
Maybe I mean, you never know. Sometimes you're more comfortable with the toe, but makes it happen.
I love that's adaptability personified right there.
to the right. Yoshiyuki Ogata with another top. Absolutely crushing this round. 4 tops, not a lot of tries. He's in a really good spot to get back into the final. We'll have to see how the rest.
Middle of the field.
Yeah, which honestly, he came out a lot earlier than we normally see him come out in a semifinal.
Yep. And then you see Tomoaki there just getting a moment from the judge. Didn't quite get all 3 limbs on the left-hand start, and no argument there.
He's like,
and I'm like,
got
okay,
it.
yeah, fair play.
Kylie Cullen was already up in the zone hold previously on this boulder, so she just needs to figure out how to make that next move to that Gaston, which seems to be the move to the Gaston and then setting up to go to the finish. Definitely the hardest moves on this boulder for women's number 4. So much patience required, and look how she drops her heels.
Very nice.
She really is a great slab climber, has a really good footwork and technique.
And moving slowly enough
Very
here,
nice.
love
and
it.
Look
and
how
she's
nice
already
it's
set up.
So just needs to get. Oh, she has time though.
Yep.
She has time.
No need to panic. No need to panic. But really good footwork there. That was a wonderful example. You see Stasha Geho doing what she does. She does like a powerful boulder.
Yes, she does. Not surprised at all that she was able to get through there.
And she moves so quickly when she's climbing confidently.
I couldn't tell it. I think she did kind of throw a heel there. It was kind of low on the camera angle, so I couldn't quite see, but it looked like there was some compression quickly through that boulder. This is a boulder that, when I looked at the round, one that Stasha would definitely enjoy. Not just excel at, but also enjoy.
Like, oh, I'm having fun
First
climbing.
boulder, one that she enjoyed a little less.
Yeah.
And that definitely resonates with me as well. I was thinking the same thing.
I feel that.
I get where she's coming from. Oh, just a little off balance. Definitely has enough time, I think, to get back up there. Tomoaki trying to get to this zone hold. Nice tension there. Look at that tension with the right foot.
And pay attention to the left hand. It's not over. You need to keep pulling.
This Gaston is so small, and it's on the volume and against the wall, so the actual surface area to grab is even smaller than it would be because it's blocked by two other like levels.
Yeah, and you saw how slowly he was moving, and you can't just pop and generate those. When you try and force compress, you add the possibility of, as Megan said, a dry fire. So when your hand just snaps off of a hold, as happens quite a bit. You see Anjay on the left, looking fantastic through
had a great
3
round.
tops on 3 boulders.
Using that heel hook there to bring him in. He's, again, a little taller, so the heel makes more sense. Maybe some of the shorter athletes standing on the ball of their foot instead of the heel, just so they have a little more height to get to that finishing hold.
All right, the crowd is going to pick up a little bit. Brooke Rabatou is out for the first time. We're getting into the top third of the semi-finalists here, Megan. So expect to start seeing more boulders drop quicker as we have a look at Jennifer Wood brushing the start of her last boulder.
And you see a lot of the athletes come straight out and just start brushing, and that's always a good idea. Really nice toe catch there by Gregor as he kind of just runs through this boulder right now. He is a man on a mission.
Yeah, if he can get his mitts on something and grab it, he's a fan. Maybe a bit too quick. You saw the heel slide out.
I think the heel was just a bit too high, which, yeah, exactly. These kind of boulders that are, I mean, you need to be powerful, but you also need to be subtle and not move too fast, because at any moment you could slip if you find yourself in just a little bit of the wrong position. But easy fix. Yeah.
Jennifer Wood. I mean, the chalk on the holds gives you some clues. There's not a lot of palm prints on that women's 4 on the volume, but a few athletes have tried it. So now there's 1 or 2 palm prints, and you think, wait a minute, has someone mantled this move, and I'm missing it. Brooke Rabatou on the left, and Hamish MacArthur.
Both athletes moving quickly through these first boulders so far, just trying to slow and steady their way, inching up the boulders. That was a little risky. Doesn't really like that position. There we go. Now he'll like it better. Yeah.
Small change, big difference.
Brooke just trying to walk those feet across, find the right spot to set up for this finish. Ooh. You know, he seems tall enough to get that as long as
the heel stays, and it does.
Risky, but very cool to see.
And you saw Colin trying to do it, but he had his toe on the side instead of that heel. Made a huge difference. Brooke Rabbitoux, no mistakes.
So really quickly done for both Hamish MacArthur and Brooke Rabbitoux.
And look at this, is so Jay and so the press through, and then just gonna wind up and try again.
Again, it's so cool that there are a few different ways that you can do this boulder, and it just depends on like what is in your wheelhouse. And she is a phenomenal lead climber as well, and I feel like she is climbing this boulder like a lead climber. And I think it's always good to believe and be confident in the way that you climb versus, I mean, obviously there's intended methods when setting, but
Ross Fulkerson stacking the coordination move.
Know that things can be done millions of different ways as well. So you have to go with your own intuition.
And Ross rushing like the clock's winding down.
I think he's just psyched.
Maybe he's excited, and a great top. So that's 3 tops from Ross Fulkerson.
Wow, incredible round.
As we watched a handful of climbers now with 3 tops, we're gonna make it spicy to get into the final. Maybe we'll be
another
looking at attempts.
high topping round.
Yeah. And attempts are going to matter. They always do. But they are going to be, we're sort of looking at the top of your leaderboard, Yoshiyuki's got 4 tops. And then, I mean, it drops to 3 right away. Jakob, Paul Jean, Zach Gala, Angers, and Ross all with 3 tops. So those are...
Ross just now bumping Colin Duffy out of that top 6 spot as it is now.
But I'm thinking you might need 4.
I think so too.
You need the top 4 boulders to make sure you're getting in Camila Moroney. Now we're going to get our first look at a zone on women's number 3. And electing to go this sort of left-leaning method. And, I mean, that's hard.
Yeah, this can work. It's weird because both methods are tricky and hard. But having to grab that other hold first before going out left to the volume that's a bit better puts you in a difficult position. Definitely possible, but it's the question of, do you want to expend that much energy when you have another boulder to go?
And we saw Greg Vazonik there coming off and expressing some dissatisfaction with his performance after getting up high and close, slipping off on the way to the zone, not getting back there. Yuji Inoue looking at the clock. When they look left and right, the clocks for them are beside the mats, waiting for till exactly 30 seconds. Maximizing the amount of rest time while still giving yourself time to get up the boulder. And he does have enough. No, he's not. He's going to walk away. Camila's going to fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. Being the second boulder for the men, and Camila's on the 3rd one, so a little different. Interesting dynamic.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, honestly, if she could get her hand on that hold, I think you could. I mean, she could definitely hold it because the crimp is good and that other hold is good. It's just kind of far away.
And that feels like desperation, right? When you're down to 15 seconds, your mind is saying, it's trying to navigate this F1 crew of brushers that we have compiling out. I love that Salt Lake City has put this together.
We have so many brushers.
So there's a look at your leaderboard on the right as we watch the brushing team come out and try and keep the holds as clean as possible. I was saying, that desperation, 15 seconds left, you're staring at, can I just get a zone? That sort of mentality is how you get into a final, is what can I do in my last try? Can I just get established on a zone hold here? Is that going to be the difference? As you see Georgia Tessio and the Nakakura at the top of the leaderboard for the women.
I always like to think about, with bouldering rounds, it's not over till it's over, because every second counts, every move counts. You just can't give up. You are out here, you don't get to watch anybody, so you really don't know what's going on. You can try to assess what's happening from the crowd, but you really just have to give it your all.
Yeah, there's 8 climbers on the wall, so the crowd could be cheering for anyone. Who knows? Sean Bailey and Jessica Piltz just slipping off the first move on the left. Oh, Sean.
Good save there by Sean Bailey. Crowd favorite here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, looking to get back into the final.
Yeah.
After such an explosive performance last year here. People remember season to season how well you've done at different venues, and Sean Bailey was electrifying here last year with the gold medal.
And he climbed well last weekend, but didn't make it into the final, so he's definitely, watching him this weekend, it seems like he is having a better weekend so far Needs to just make some smart moves here.
And you know what I'm thinking, Megan, as we're watching some of these climbers on the men's side on that boulder, that's the fallacy of how strong you know you are. It's like, I'm just going to grab this bad underclaying and match it and not have to make it perfect.
I mean, I could see also, like, if you're pinching it, part of you thinking, I might just be able to match it and hold it and maybe not even need my feet.
Exactly.
And then you slip.
And then as soon as you realize that it's wide and high and not very good, Stasha Geho getting into, I mean, everybody, it looks like that's what they're, oh, she's going to do that. No, and they're sort of trying and rejecting beta almost immediately. They're try this, no, try this one, no. And as we go back to talking about Chaeyoung, as you said, as a lead climber, the instinct is never fall.
Exactly.
So she does move very carefully and she adapts on the fly, whereas sometimes boulders will just reject. Kokoro Fuji looking every bit like he's going to stick the last move here, yes.
Big swing.
There's sometimes boulders will just reject a decision and drop to the mat because it's less effort than trying to unwind what they've done.
Yeah, it's a different mentality for sure. And honestly, over the years, bouldering and lead climbing have become, I think, more complementary of one another, and I think you can go between the two disciplines a little easier. So it is cool to see each athlete show their skill set in each discipline.
And Sean is going to not. Doesn't look like he's looking.
He is bringing the heel.
No, doesn't like it. But it doesn't feel good way here. It feels good now.
You have to move that right hand up and get that other leverage. Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, Tomoaki. Getting a very nice top. And then he'll need.
We're just going to repeat each other.
That's 3 in a row. We're the same person. We're basically the same person. Yeah, he definitely, after 2 zones, he'll be happy with that top. But as he goes back and looks at the leaderboard, so we see Jesse Piltz just trying to find the balance point. Boulders like that.
Oh, so close. Futaba Ito.
In this kind of round where don't expect, because the boulder's been done by someone, you know, in the middle of the field, that all of a sudden it's just to get stormed through. We can't stress enough how different styles, different approaches to problem solving are going to affect all of the semifinalists, and you're going to see, you know, 2 or 3 climbers in a row maybe not even do boulder 1. So it happens, absolutely happens. So it's you got to show up, you got to climb all the boulders. You don't just get to be like, wow, that came out, you know, the 3rd best semifinalist. Of course I'm going to top 4 boulders. You're seeing Jesse Piltz struggle and Futaba Ito struggle.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed from round to round. It starts all over each round, so you just have to show up.
Maybe being a little more careful with where the heel is being placed, a little less cavalier. And
there you go.
Happy to get that one out of the way. If you're late to join us, if you tuned in, you know, maybe you slept in a little bit, went and got your coffee, you're watching the semifinals in Salt Lake City. We're a little over halfway through the round. Pete Wood's here with Megan Martin, trying to bring you as much of the chaos of a semifinal as possible. 17 seconds, enough time for Futaba Ito.
Definitely enough time. She's been trying to catch with the toe, which definitely can work. Maybe she'll try the heel. Oh, there we go. Holding on to that zone for longer was definitely the way. Just has to jump to the top.
Yes.
She's going to make it happen. You know, she had a buzzer beater in the qualifier as well. So she's really good at committing under pressure.
And just checking back to make sure the judge has the scorecard. Yeah, did I get that top in time?
Like, well, she knows she had full control.
3 seconds to go. And then Anže Pehart's on the right.
I think that's the 4th top for him as well.
Excellent. That is.
Which just proves that Sean Bailey taking the time to get that top is going to be really crucial if he wants to find his way into the final.
And you see, just on the bottom, there was Stasha fighting and Futaba with that. So psyched. A buzzer beater, just the adrenaline goes up when you pull on, and you hear the clock beeping in the background, and the outlet of that adrenaline is the extra excitement of a last-second top.
Camila Moroney on the 4th boulder, just getting into that rock over.
Yet to see a top. Boulder 4.
Just very tricky at the end, this one. And also, that beginning, it's not so crazy hard, but you can definitely slip if you kind of find yourself in the wrong balance position.
And it takes a long time to climb.
Yeah, it's very slow. Also, this right foot she's standing on is dual textured, so only part of it has actual friction, as Ross Fulkerson is just running through
and
men's
winding
number
the
4,
crowd up.
looking to try to get a 4th top. He has not been in a final in a World Cup, so
and
definitely feeling like it could be possible here.
4 tops for Ross Fulkerson, making the wall shake.
I was going to say, I think he was going to take the wall with him.
Maximilian Milne on your right, just sliding out. And Ayala Karem. Meanwhile,
Brooke Rabatou trying to figure out what she wants to do up here. Probably going to go with the toe. Oh, was thinking about the heel. She does generally like toe hook. She's very good at toe hooking. She does toe hooking clinics for me because I am not as good at them. But with the heel, which is the method I prefer. Ayala Karim setting up to try to get that second hand.
Just not getting that turn in on the left side that we've seen to this point. This will be much harder square, you know, as her hips are quite far away from the wall. Just needing to find the moment with which you can let go, and not quite getting it there.
Oh.
Very nice work, Hamish MacArthur.
Done.
And Max Milne.
Okay, side note. In ISO today, his hair matched his nails and his socks. I have a photo of him. I'm going to post it later on the Olympics Instagram.
That's fantastic.
Because, honestly, most stylish person in the competition so far, just saying. And also looking for a top here.
Oh, is he going to do it this way?
Oh, he would be. See, that's very
But even
smart.
that stick to hold that tension.
He does have really good footwork, though. He is killer on a slab. So, not surprised.
Really good.
It was really good.
Yeah. And I think his hair was bluer last week. I think it changes comp to comp.
He changed it.
Brooke back up here.
Just going to try to figure out the method that's going to work best for her. Oh, so close.
Just to look at the clock, I mean,
she definitely has time. That boulder is really rough on the skin, though. But seems like she's going through that bottom section easily as Ayala Karim
watch
tries
that
to get
right
back
toe.
up to the top. Standing on that little edge is so crazy. When I was standing on it, I felt like, oh man, I wish I had newer shoes on. I brought my worn out ones.
And I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but you'll sometimes even see climbers, they'll swap shoes out between tries, or even left foot to right foot for one individual move. Ayala there, still looking like she's not gonna twist. There we go from Brooke.
Rabatou just needs to finish it off, going to the jug. Nicely done.
Karim, she needs to. Oh, she is gonna manage. Wow, that's the hardest way to do that last move. But it doesn't matter how you get there,
as long as you get there.
Camila Moroney, 30 seconds left. Just shuffling over here. Would love to get a top to close out the round. Don't think it's going to be enough to get. No, you want to leave.
There you go.
Excellent.
She definitely has enough time.
Yep. Yes.
Nice.
Are we going to see our first top of Boulder 4? Camila Moroney, can you give it to us? No.
See, that left hand is so bad. The minute she started standing up and pulling up too much on that left hand, it brought her out. Another look at Ross Fulkerson's amazing end to his round. 4 boulders as Chaeyeon So also topped women's number 3.
And that's a route climber's boulder.
It is a very much so.
Hamish MacArthur there.
And another look at Maximilian. I mean, a name like that, you gotta be fabulous. And Brooke Rabatou followed by Ayala Karim. They were within like seconds of each other topping.
That's the hardest way to do that last move.
It really is.
Okay, so now we have Lei Kawamata on the right, and we have Franziska Sterer, who has been climbing very well this season.
Yeah, in her first final last weekend, which was really exciting to see. Also, so for the men, we've had all 4 boulders top, but still only 3 boulders top for the women. Shaping up to be a really nice round.
See, gotta test the opening moves. The climbers will, when they when you look at a boulder and you think that there's risk involved and there's going to be a few tries, Sean Bailey doing what Sean Bailey does by grabbing tiny holds.
For him. Nicely into the match.
That's a Sean boulder for sure.
See? He goes directly to the match. That's what you got to do.
Maybe you need to make a list. So it'll be Meiringen's match no match list, and you get a Christmas gift if you're on the match side, and you don't get a Christmas gift if you're not on the match side.
Or it's more, I go into ISO, you get a talking to if you're not on the match side, and if you are in the match side, then I just let you be.
You don't want to see Meiringen coming for you in ISO, you know you're in trouble. Look at this
here.
from Futaba Ito.
Oh, this is killing my hip flexors. That was beautiful.
Yeah, she's going to reject it as the way to do the next move, but straight compression, no. There is a toe hook method there, but she is not going to go anywhere near it.
Really trying to reel in. Whoa. Oh, just hit that next volume a little too low, needs to be higher. You can actually backstep the left foot and get the right foot out and kind of drop me to get into that next undercling. Ooh, trying to flip early.
Yeah, Jessie Piltz, that's, I'm going to say not recommended.
And she's pretty lanky, so trying to get over. The problem is on that zone hole, the next hole looks so far away, and you think, oh, could I do it static?
This from Kokoro Fuji, that is not anything we've seen before. He's going to turn it around.
Nice.
That is really interesting finish.
I love this top-down view.
Yeah.
As Tomoaki tries to get through men's number 4. Seen this one topped a few times, kind of grappling.
Yeah, the white part of that left hold is dual texture, and you saw him run out of reach in the angle, and the undercling there is blocked, as we've seen, so you have to be a little bit precise. Franzi Sterer just tipping away on the big volume move.
Wow.
Jessie Piltz getting back up.
Side note, currently, Brooke Rabbittu and Futaba Ito are tied completely. Flashing number 1 and top in 6, zone in 3 for number 2. Oh, that interesting.
It doesn't. Yeah.
We'll see if that stays.
We'll see if that stays. But yeah, interesting that they are taking the same attempts on different boulders.
Yeah. I guess I'm sorry. This was a little slow to load because Futaba's on number 3 now. But we're tied. I don't feel like we see the exact orientation being the same often. Usually it's like the numbers add up in attempts, but someone flashes, someone does more attempts.
Franziska really not looking happy in the footwork here.
You know, she is a bit taller, so being in that pressy position, I feel like it might feel a little more off balance for her. She'd probably be better off trying to like get her heel over and her right foot on the flat hold on the volume in order to kind of just rock over and just kind of maybe use her reach a bit more, because I think the other method is a little bunchy for her.
And even here you see Stasha having trouble getting rocked up into the first move of this boulder.
And again, you know, another taller climber and that kind of a move, getting her foot up, no problem, and standing from the ground, but rocking over, she's got longer legs to rock over, so it is a bit more difficult, that movement in and of itself.
You see Jessie Piltz on the left she's been getting back up here, no problem. There we go. That little toe hook maybe was the difference.
Just doesn't want to rush it.
And making sure. So an important top from Jessie Piltz with 30 seconds to go. Franziska Sterer getting
now
to
she's
the zone.
in the nice section, I think. She'll probably like this part of the boulder a bit better than that opening section.
Needs to hurry but not rush, and I don't know that now there's enough time. Futaba Ito, 10 seconds.
Oh, I don't know about
this
that
boulder climb. There's a lot of climbing still to go.
Heel hook here. Nice.
Needs to get high in the undercling.
Oh, she loves a buzzer beater.
Yeah, she does. No, not going to get there. If she didn't have to rush, she was set up to the finish. So getting close, but not close enough. Sean Bailey casually swinging into the match. And then this very interesting method.
That flip
from Kokoro Fuji. Yeah, that was, I mean, it worked for him.
Kawamata.
And Jessie Piltz.
Man, lots of tops.
Yeah. Okay, we are catching up. We're in our last 4 semi-finalists.
It's crazy how time flies. It always shocks me.
Orian Bertone and Yonghwan Chan, who is good at everything. I love seeing the
Very
Korean
much
team
so.
roll up for this week and just
Yeah,
put
it's
climbers
really
all
nice to
over
see
this
them.
semifinal.
And Yonghwan Chan, also an Olympian, 10th place at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
And a very good lead climber, and adopted speed, of course, to the Olympic format, but is happy to be back focusing. And it was sort of the tail end of last season. It might have looked like he didn't have a great year, but that's because of the combined. So you'll see some of these athletes reappear back in more semifinals and finals now that they can only focus on their Maximilian Mill going with the double. Very springy. That's all right.
And he was in the final here last year. It was very exciting to watch, trying to get his way back in there as Ayala Karim sets up. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, it doesn't need the flip, so some of that right hand finger strength coming into play.
Wow.
And getting a top, so 2 tops for her after 2.
And Brooke Rabbitoo quickly doing women's number 3.
I'm sure you can hear that in the background. That really got the crowd going. They've been into it since the beginning, but that was a roar.
The sun is out again. It's beautiful out. Everybody is hopefully a little warmer than they were at the start of this round.
Orian Bertone very high up on this move. And now coming down a little lower in that left foot. Doing it the hard way.
Yeah. She's quite good at slabs, though.
Yonghwan Chan, one of the taller finalists. Looks like he's going to go.
Dynamic. I'm scared.
Just the way he shuffled his foot up there.
Wow. Just similar to,
yeah,
little slip.
Not rewarded for his decision making there, unfortunately. But will be emboldened by having at least had one hand on the last hold. As we said, sometimes the success in the wrong decision-making can lead you down that path.
Wrong path, yeah. It's like just enough success. Wow, Hamish going straight for the zone, it looked like.
He must have not, I mean, he's had a couple swings at it. He must have really not liked
that
the paddle.
Which, I mean, again, especially on opening moves like this, you can try a few different ways without too many consequences, because it's the start of a boulder. I think the main consequence is generally skin loss.
Yeah.
As Yuji just probably lost a bit of skin.
They came off in unison there. Yeah, the start of that boulder is really cool, and we saw him there get like up into a very small box, and with so much anti-compression pushing out on all 4 limbs, the smallest little friction loss, and you get ejected from the boulder.
Yep.
Chae-Yun Sao moving very carefully. That's so clean, Megan. Come on.
She really is a technician. She climbs with so much intention and executes so well.
I'm gonna go.
I think we could see a top here.
Yeah, I'm gonna come right out and say it. This just needs to keep that right foot established.
Should go so slow here. And really, when you're pulling, you just need to stay really close to the wall.
And then releasing the left foot cleanly.
Oh,
a mistake!
At the top. I think
she overgrabbed, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
You notice too, when she was pulling up, she was almost like sliding her right hand up the wall, because you really need to stay that close, just because that left hand is so bad. You cannot let your body fall out at all.
Yeah, and as we say, Yonghwan led back down the path of be tall and strong. And with 30 seconds to go, I think he's going to walk away. And are we going to see our first top from Chae-Yun Sao?
And she is currently
top
in the first spot. So she's in a great position. Obviously, she doesn't know that, but I'm sure she feels like she's having a good round at least.
Yeah, so she has to commit to this finish move, not as if grabbing the last hold is what's going to keep you on the wall, but as if not grabbing the last hold is going to keep you on the wall.
It's more about the stand-up, less about actually latching the hold. Oh, that's unfortunate. I feel like she could have totally done that boulder.
Yeah, I mean,
still in a good spot, though, with not that many climbers left, so we'll see what happens.
And Yuji is going to run out of time after getting the beginning solved in, it took him quite a while to get there. Here we see Max and you saw Ayala on the right side sticking the jump move and then getting the top. So a great round for her so far.
Yeah, Ayala is in 8th currently. Let me make sure I'm right as I refresh. And the best female placing Israeli was Valerie Karim, and a 14th place spot
Yep.
a few years ago. I don't know exactly how many years ago. So if Ayala makes it to the final or gets anywhere below 14th place, that is like a new placement for the Israeli women's team.
And we don't see them on the World Cup circuit very often.
I mean, I feel like we've seen Alex Kazanov for a lot of years, and it's really cool to see that so many other athletes from Israel are, you know, committing to the whole circuit and coming out and climbing very well.
Natalia Grossman getting up onto this boulder in less than 30 seconds.
She likes slab.
Wow, and she does. Like, oh, sweet. We start on the slab. Let's rock and roll. And Yannick Flohe on the right. It was just... I love the beginning of that men's boulder is great.
And it's cool to see how close they're able to get their hips to the wall in order to kind of maneuver through that kind of teeter-totter portion.
Love that we saw Francie Sterer just disappear off the left side of the screen.
Oh, top-down view
look.
here.
Yeah, and Natalia getting way over to the right with her right foot. Yannick ever so gently moving up this boulder. Committing to the flash by stopping to chalk up a little bit.
Loud roar from the crowd as off-camera Futaba Ito with a top of women's number 4, very first person to top. Hopefully we'll get to show that to you as Yannick tries to decipher.
What is that?
Oh, it looked like he almost hit his chin.
Oh,
I don't think he did, but it was very close.
That was, I wouldn't have predicted anyone was going to try that method.
Yeah,
to top
I mean, it's
boulder.
hard. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
Lei Kawamata slowly getting through this. It's very important to go slow here. You know, we've seen a lot of the men pause there a little longer.
Yep.
He went right to it.
Oh, really
wow!
good stick.
He caught that so low. I cannot believe that was able to happen.
That was either a little flutter of the heart or a bit of a thank you. And the toe hook method from Jessie Pilz. That's more as designed.
Ooh, as Sean Bailey just comes off the zone hold on men's number 3.
Is she going to go straight to the... Wow, so many options there. Francie Sterer now getting...
Hasn't had a top yet, so definitely needs to start getting into the zone of topping.
I was going to say, she's in the zone right now.
She's in the zone, but now she's in the zone of topping.
And that's the difference we're looking for, is the zone of topping versus just the zone.
I guess we shouldn't introduce a made-up new lingo.
I mean,
the scoring's
sometimes
confusing
it sticks.
enough.
Sometimes, yeah, the scoring is confusing enough. We're going to add the topping zone to the scoreboard. Yannick Flohe getting... I cannot imagine that he is going to go back up to the top and think, I'm going to go left hand to the finish again.
I would be really shocked if he did that.
And he must have been just so secure in his right hand that he didn't want to make the switch.
Sometimes it's hard to want to leave a hold where you feel comfortable, and you know, leaving it, would be risky. But that's World Cup climbing.
Yeah.
It's about risk.
And it's about route setters introducing that risk by saying, we draw the line between what you want to do and what you have to do. And often they're not the same thing.
Exactly.
So what you want to do is stay established with your right hand. What you need to do is swap that around and make a move with using your left hand where you thought you wanted to be sitting. And he's now completely different, Beta. If he can get this into the heel and that hip turnout.
A little more comfortable. Plenty of time.
Yannick Flohe.
Nicely done.
Taking a few swings, but getting there. And Jessie Pilz, again, doesn't like the next undercling bump. And 45 seconds. She's standing around like she might give it one more try. It's hard to read the body language. Sometimes they just sternly look at a boulder like, you've done me wrong. But sometimes it's about just looking at the clock.
I mean, I do think that it'd be worth it for her to take one more try just because she knows the wall and knows that she's ending on a slab and isn't going to be on an overhang again. So if she can get back up there, it would maybe be good, but she's going to choose not to. And
Sean Bailey not getting boulder number 3.
This could kind of...
the crowd, he looked at the crowd and they talked him into it.
Oh,
no.
This could change the possibilities for him getting into finals. Maybe not, though. There's still a few athletes holding on with 3 tops, but he did he get the zone? I don't.
No, he never got the zone.
He never got the zone, so that's going to maybe be an issue.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely an impact on the scorecard.
That
That was low.
Oh, so low. Good thing he has healthy shoulders otherwise.
And this is, I mean, this is showing you how far that dyno is. It's a really big move.
Very big.
Okay. So now we have Do-Yoon Lee from Korea on the right, and Afra Hunig from Germany on the left, who absolutely crushed boulders yesterday. At the, I mean,
100%.
She's coming out second last, but I'm pretty sure that her and Miho had the same number of attempts on their qualifying boulders. I think it was 5 in 8 to get through.
Yep. She climbed very well, very, very well. She's been in semifinals more consistently over the last couple of years, but definitely looking to get into a final. And if she has a day like yesterday, it's definitely possible.
Do-Yoon Lee.
Nicely done into the zone here.
He
looks really comfortable.
Yeah, and I think you can, even there, you can see the way they lean back. It's like, that's going to be the heel hook method.
Really good breathing there. Ooh,
Ooh, wow. Just a little
he
dynamic.
He had a little bit of surprise in his eyes, too.
Like, oh, I did stick that. As he grabbed it, he went, that's not as good as I hoped it was going to be, but managed to hang in.
Ayala getting into the zone here.
And the idea here, there's an undercling side.
So
up on the right.
This knee bar method is definitely a way you can do it as well. Either you do the back step or the knee bar, whatever you're more comfortable with. But here, it does set you up to do another scum there, and just have to kind of stand up and get into the small crimp.
I feel that I'd rather have my left foot. Oh, wow. I was thinking you'd want to have more of that left heel hook. Mevin's going to get a top. We have not seen a lot of tops on this boulder. That is huge for her round.
That is her third top. So if she doesn't make it into the final, she is definitely making history for her country here today.
Orian looking at boulder number 2 with arms outspread, which is not a good sign. That is the what do I need to do pose.
You know, sometimes it takes a second to kind of figure out. And again, I mentioned earlier, this jump's a little tricky. I've been really impressed that a lot of the athletes have figured it out well.
As we see Brooke Rabitou
of Brooke.
And even, I mean, she held a wobble.
And this inside flag here, this is also the way Futaba.
Love an inside flag.
I love an inside flag, especially if it happens in bouldering. And Futaba did the same thing when she topped women's number 4. So now all 4 boulders for the women and the men have been topped. And this round has just been, in my opinion, so exciting.
All over the place. We're like, oh, everyone's going to do boulder 4 now on the men's side. But now we've had a run of climbers unable to do 3 and 4.
Afra Hunig trying to find the right body position to get over here. So delicate, so slow.
And it weighs on your mind,
so
Megan.
High on the left, too. Sorry.
Yeah, just that when you know how long it takes and how careful you have to move, you're thinking, climb slow, but don't climb too slow. I mean, there's
a lot going on.
It's hard to control your own decision-making and think, oh my goodness, I just need to do this boulder. And then you slip on the first move all of a sudden, even though you've been up to the finish once before. So
the other thing is sometimes if you get up high early on, it's hard to remember exactly what you did, and you start doing different beta without even knowing because you weren't thinking about it too much.
Oh, this is interesting.
I think she'll probably bring her foot back down. Oh! Dang it. Oh, she knows that was not ideal.
And maybe you thought, yes, as she was getting that, a press was better than how slippery that volume is, and she would have flipped it back around. There are lots of climbers who have the mobility to sort of reach into their own toe. It's very hard. I don't have that. My hamstrings will give up when I put my foot way out and try and reach it. But the climbers that can do it, use it to their advantage all the time. Max Milne disappearing off the right of your screen.
Hamish trying to
fighting.
He knows that clock is just running down, trying to get in a last good attempt, not able to make it happen.
No, and even there you saw his hips so far out because the heel hook was so high, and some of the more mobile climbers. Paul Jeanft at the beginning had essentially no problem with that move, simply because he could get his heel up and his hips still close to the wall. So that inside flexibility can make a huge difference. Yonghwan Chan doing the spin method. And then
set up for this inside flag from Brooke Rabatu, topping all 4 boulders as Ayala also tops women's number 3. One more boulder to go for her. We'll see if she can get 4 in. And
that's gonna be it.
Afra just slipping at the end. My heart breaks for her. But Orian with a top on women's number 2. Looks like she figured out what she needed to do in the end. I never was worried.
No, there's a moment where you think, is this gonna be? And then yes, of course I'm gonna figure this out. And this is it. Our last 2 semifinalists have just come out on the mat. That is going to be Miho Nonaka and Keita Dohi. A couple of Japanese teammates climbing shoulder to shoulder out the rest of the round. And I mean, I love it. Natalia Grossman up into the zone.
Within 30 seconds.
It's, you don't see it all the time.
Also, like, just sticking the stop way. We've seen a few athletes do it. And it's funny, we were discussing that last night. For running, and I said I think she can do it that way. I'm not sure if she will. I feel like it takes more effort, but just came out and did it right away.
Yep.
And also going with a more static method there, which we've seen it done a few times. If you can make it more higher percentage, that's what you want to do. Nice top there.
It looked for a second like she was thinking about bringing the right foot up to hand-foot match, and then she just wound up and did the little swing kick and did what she needed to do.
I think especially the way she climbed the boulder was very safe. So she kind of maybe wanted to be safe, but then the end is a jug, so she can go for it.
Miho Nonaka with a flash of the first boulder, and Keita in the middle of his first attempt.
Just inching his way up to that better position to set up for the heel.
Such an involved hand swap.
We should be counting how many times they move on this boulder, because these are fun boulders when it's only a few holds on the wall, but you're actually doing probably 20 hand moves to get through it.
And Franziska Sterer getting into the zone, but not out of it, as Yannick Flohé goes completely statically.
So slow, love it.
And even now, just losing the feet.
Oh, just a little out.
Yeah, half down. We've seen a couple of the climbers come through there, also in complete control, and we've seen a few dead points, and that was right in the middle of those 2 styles of movement. A little brush, a little shake. And Sean Bailey, just giving you a look at how hard it is to get on the wall.
He was up trying to get into the finish prior, so he definitely, especially after coming off not getting the zone, there's that added pressure going into the 4th boulder. So he's trying to get back up there as fast as he can. Jessie Pilz nicely into that zone. Confidently moving her feet up.
Just to see on the right.
Oh, but going back now, which isn't.
Oh, wow. What is this going to be?
Interesting.
What is this from Jessie Pilz?
Good job avoiding the placards on the wall.
Yeah, can't grab those, and
no.
she's going to have to reject that. Brooke Rabatu now at the top of your leaderboard. You just saw on the right, just ahead of everyone else with 4 tops on the round. Yannick Flohé back up quickly, and Franzi Sterer. And Yannick just needs to be either running out of gas. Yeah, lost a little bit.
The tension there is really difficult to hold. So that's already an overhanging angle, plus the volumes are added on, creating an even steeper angle.
I'm looking at, as we pull up the live results and move them around, there's been some big movement. Ross Fulkerson, Megan, coming out of 9th, and Anjay Paharts coming out of 8th, so that's, I don't have to do my math in reverse order, 12th and 13th, are sitting in finals spots at the moment, as with Yoshiyuki Ogata. So they came out in the first third and stomped on boulders, and then we've seen a bit of a desert of tops in the middle. So this is a really cool part of this. If you just come out and do your job, it doesn't matter what place you're in when you come into semifinals. So that's a look at your leaderboard there on the right.
Anyone who makes a semifinal is an amazing climber. So doesn't matter where you come out.
I mean, I kind of want to see someone do
it this way, but
I really,
so risky.
I'm going to be, oh, we held that way longer than I thought. 30 seconds to go. Meiringen, he might not get a top on Boulder 1.
He might not.
Oh, and now Yannick Flo has figured out the move to the grip, and he gets a top as clock
He
winds
wants to be
down.
in back-to-back finals this after last weekend, trying to move on again.
Another young
Keeping
climber.
his dream alive currently with 2 tops.
Jesse Piltz is going to have to walk away without a top on Boulder number 4. So a few less tops necessary on the women's side. Right now we're looking at, you know, 3 gets you in at the moment. And you see here, just as Miho storms up on her flash, and then Lei Kawamata, Yannick Flohe getting tops. The women's side, 3 will get you in at the moment.
Yep.
And on the men's side, it is looking every bit like 4 tops. Jakob Schubert and Paul Jeanft are sitting on the bubble with 3, but there's some quite a few strong climbers left to go here.
Yeah, and if you have 3 tops, you definitely need 4 zones. Otherwise, you don't have a chance.
Yeah, you are not looking like a final. This is I love when a couple of climbers early on, you know, make a run on the table, and then, you know, the crowd doesn't know what to think. You know that there's a run, like, oh, what if everyone just tops all the boulders?
Yeah.
But no, those 3 climbers, Yoshiyuki, Anjay, and Ross, and at this point, Jakob, all have done what's needed to get them where they're going.
And again, I think that, you know, with the semifinals, the talent is so amazing in these competitions. So if you're making the semifinal, you always have a shot of getting into finals.
Yes.
So if boulders are getting done by the first people out, it doesn't mean that the boulders aren't hard enough. I think that the level is just so incredible that so many athletes can make it happen. Oh my gosh. I hope we see a replay of Maximilian's top of men's number 4, because he did it in an amazing way as Orian Bertone sets up to go.
Too.
Oh wow, using the little thumb catch there into the zone.
Yeah, that's designed as a, oh, good save. Orian Bertone now getting the knee scum. Just seeing that.
It's great that this is working, but she is having to try so much harder to get through this section.
And this
so
bump,
hopefully she.
Yeah, there's so much power. You're pushing so hard with the right foot. She must have had 6 or 7 foot swaps. And look at this.
Ayala looking for a top.
Wow.
Oh, makes it happen. Foot comes off. And that is 4 tops for her.
Yes,
so she is looking like she has a good shot to get into the final and make history for the women's Israeli team.
That's really good stick. That's just a little extra power in the tank, which doesn't always save you on a slab boulder. And there,
she's very powerful as a climber.
Really worked out. I just watching that foot slip, I
stopped breathing for half a second, but Afra Hunig.
Happy to
redemption.
Yeah, she wants to get her mitts on a hold she can pull on.
So after that first boulder.
I think that was a flash. And now a few climbers left standing and brushing.
That actually puts Ayala in first place right now.
Awesome. Do-Yun Lee. Oh, my knee hurts just looking at that drop knee. We saw Orian ejected out of the screen. Just trying to do this as technically as we've seen. And
he just was a little shallow, a little low on that left hand.
You can move too slowly in on a boulder. I'm all for climbing carefully. I'm all for, you know, the style that we saw Sheyun climbing in, but you can definitely move too slowly where the momentum, the push you need to get to the hold has to be there.
Yeah. And, you know, there are some climbers that can move slow and be successful where other climbers would have to move fast. Like some people's lock-off strength is just so much better than other people's. And some people rely on momentum a bit more. And that, I mean, those are some of the cool things about climbing is there's so many ways to do things and everyone has a different skill set. And it's cool to see how that plays out, how the climbers articulate that on the wall.
Yes, now Yonghwan Chan. Once he got the zone, this is what we've seen. Not many people have missed. He is going to flip.
Just like Kokoro. Oh, takes it back. I spoke too soon.
Yeah, and have a look at how although most of the climbers who've gotten here have stuck the last move, it's awkward. You're sort of in your own way.
It's very committing.
And that finish hold is terrible.
It is. You have to really be high enough in it to pinch it. And also, that was a great angle to see how overhanging that section of the wall is.
Do-Yoon Lee back up here. And he's going to have a little half match. Megan, come
on.
My
gosh.
Just trying to generate a little bit of bounce and really hard to use your feet. They're underneath you. They're in the way. It's a weird small box. We've seen a couple climbers come through and make that move look pretty pedestrian. And then Do-Yoon Lee, a very strong climber, trying to go the slowest way and not making it work. 10 seconds to go. Yonghwan Chan needs this to at least give himself a fighting chance. Oh, it's going to be enough!
Wow!
Yonghwan Chan with a buzzer beater to get his second top to give himself at least a swinging chance at a spot in the final. That was exciting, and he is
amazing.
Very happy. Anytime you're walking off the mat, avoiding brushers, you've taken it down to the wire.
He definitely still has a chance.
There's your look at that crazy hand jam from Max Milne and Afra Huning stomping on the top of that boulder.
I love that he did the hand jam. Oh, such a good save there by Ayala. And Yonghwan Chan.
That was the miss.
Missing, but then coming back for redemption right here. Oh, man, look at that. Look at the fight in his eyes.
And when you're rushing the clock, nothing's perfect. So you don't get to readjust your hands. You don't get to readjust your hips. You don't get to readjust your feet. You grab and go.
See how... Oh, not even with the foot.
Miho Nanaka just sticking the dyno. She did say that this is her favorite kind of climbing.
Oh, for sure.
If you've been watching World Cup boulders for any amount of time, you know that Miho likes to be physical and powerful. That's her favorite way to climb.
Yes. She is so powerful. I think because she also is a climber who is really graceful to watch. You kind of forget how powerful she can be.
Yeah.
I was really reminded of her power last weekend watching her in the final. Just the way she completely housed the campus move on the last boulder.
Yeah, on her,
I wasn't
just
surprised,
stormed up and on her first try.
It's just so cool to see her be able to show off that power. Ooh, little fall there from Natalia. We don't see that happen often, so I'm a little surprised.
Like, did Natalia? I had to double check that that's who we were looking at on the screen.
Happen?
Is that what went down?
Definitely a boulder that she would excel at. It's really in her skill set to do well on those small holds, as Franziska Sterer kind of takes another look at women's number 4 to figure out what she needs to do on this slab. She gets to top here. I think she could still be in a potential final spot, but have to see how the rest of the field plays out. I loved when we ran into, why am I blanking right now?
Because you're on the spot.
Uzhnik.
Oh, Nikolai,
thank you. Yesterday, and he was like, I don't like to look at the results until the very end. I love that. And I always felt that way too. It's like, kind of like, if I'm close, I don't want to just stare at my phone for the next hour.
I want to just wait and see when it's done. There was an interesting approach, and I feel like I would be I'd be a refresher. I'd be like, am I in, am I in, am I in, am I in?
That's why we work so well together. There's balance.
There's balance.
Franzi figuring out how to get set up to go to the zone as Miho
corrects the mistake from the first try, where she just sort of undercooked her attempt. She was like, oh, I'll just dead point this move, and then realized that she needed to go a little bit more powerfully. But a top is a top, and she will take that. Franzi getting through here. Just trying to make that left.
Oh, just came out a little too much. A little bit too much.
Natalia.
And Miho has had a nice progression this World Cup season. You know, obviously not making the semis in Meiringen, which is rare for her.
Super
and then
rare.
Just out of finals in Seoul, but then in finals last week and on the podium. So just progressing nicely through this year.
Getting back into form at the start of the season.
Especially after the Olympics, where she placed second. I mean, incredible.
And getting back to her favorite discipline.
Yes.
And focusing. Yannick
Even though I do want to see her in speed again, I'm not going to lie.
It was pretty cool.
I thought it was great to watch her kind of break down some barriers.
Yeah, as climbers, we're adapting, and she was like, it just shows you how much of a of a well-rounded athlete she is to say, oh, speed climbing, fine, I'll solve speed climbing too.
Let me just do the Japanese record and, you know, get on the podium
Yeah, no problem.
in a World Cup. It's all good.
Yeah, and then walk away. Franzi now, it's...
oh my gosh, that was an incredible
toe
save.
hook body tension save.
I wish I was filming that.
And then just needs to do essentially the same thing here in the
dang.
right foot pop. That, I mean, she won't get any consolation from that save, but maybe when she watches it back, she'll see how cool it was.
Really surprised that Natalia has not topped this boulder yet.
And is she...
oh, they do have the blocker there.
Yeah, is she under or overthinking it is the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't really got to see her past that first attempt. She's definitely rushing a little bit. Wow. Also, her heel looked like she slipped there. When you're trying to do that, exactly.
Yannick twice on the finish hold, and he is going to rush.
This is a fast boulder. He could definitely make it happen.
Oh! We've seen no one try that.
That was similar to the way Paul did it, but he didn't cut feet.
Yeah.
He just stood up into it.
Oh, so a few maybe surprising not tops. Natalia, who we're so accustomed to seeing grab the finish holds of boulders through semifinals, is just making it exciting.
Yeah.
As you see on the right, that's your leaderboard to this point. Jakob hanging on to that 6th place position, but you know, Ross looking good.
Yeah.
And then on the women's side, Natalia just not stressed yet, but has work to do.
Yeah, very good at slab though, so in a good spot. And you know, Jakob absolutely dominated semifinals last weekend.
Yes.
And then he kind of struggled in finals. So if he does make the final, I'd be interested to see if there's a flip. Like, he did well in this round today, but I wouldn't say he completely dominated it. And so if he gets in the final, it'd be interesting to see if he's able to have more success there.
Orian with the blind
Woo!
left foot. It's not really on.
That would have been crazy if she said.
You don't really want your like the high inside edge of your shoe on that foothold. You kind of want to be down, but she's just electing to try and go straight to the zone.
Afra Honig working her way through the start of women's number 3. You're rewarded by good route reading here.
Yes.
And some energy saving if you can get through this. If you can get into the zone and into that upper undercling on your first attempt. This is quite a... oh my gosh, for a second it looked like she was going to set up for some sort of coordination move.
She's like, no, and then reeled it back in. She is... yeah, using that, that's really cool. We've seen that once before.
Orian did that earlier as well. And then, you know, using that knee bar here takes a little bit of the weight off of your arm so you can kind of recover for a second.
Solving that. Yeah, that's very, very low to use that left foot. Ideally, you want to be a little higher up, maybe a heel hook. Wow. Yes, Yonghwan Chan is 4 screams happy on the scale.
I love it.
4 out of 4 happy.
That moves him into 6th. That literally just bumped Jakob out. It's not over till it's over. And that's why you try till the bitter end.
Orian now electing to go really to the perhaps longer climbing, but easier way to do the start of this boulder. And she will need a top here.
There we go.
Yes.
I really like how most of the women, when they go to that, they kind of come out just a little bit and have to reel it back in. I think the only one who didn't really do that was Chaeyoung.
Yeah, she just like
climbed it. Slowly glided to it.
Glide is the perfect word. Orian not quite
Very
getting
close.
there. So 3 and 4. Orian, I mean, absolutely needs. She's sitting in the bubble right now, but a top will put her in a much safer place. You know, given that Natalia, Afra, and Miho are the ones who are behind her.
Oh yeah.
I keep refreshing the screen. It's so hard to, when we make some predictions, you know, a lot has to happen. Attempts matter, of course. There's some math involved, but there's, I mean, even, of course, Yonghwan with that top put himself into 6th, but we have every chance that, you know, that Yannick, Kita, and Doyun are also going to get their tops.
Yeah, it's just so hard to know. And I mean, even predicting, like knowing someone's climbing style, sometimes you think you can predict, oh, this is a boulder made for them. And that's the day when all of a sudden it seems like it's not. So there's really no way of knowing. And that's what the route setters are doing as well. They're setting boulders that they have to test and figure out, is it hard enough? Is it too hard? And at the end of the day, there is still guesswork involved because everybody's human. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yep. And sometimes the climbers, sometimes you set a really good round and the climbers just collectively climb badly.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, you end up with 2 tops.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, the boulders aren't actually too hard. It's just that people aren't climbing particularly well en masse.
Exactly.
There's a group of people. So Orian now just, again.
There you go.
And don't rush it here.
We've seen the match here as a way to get up. Oh, she rushed it.
Yep, the right foot let her go. Orian is going to
try again, of
try
course.
again. 35 seconds.
She always tries again at the end, that's for sure.
And 22 seconds now. This is going to get spicy. Orian Bertone, 15.
Wow.
Needs to be careful. Watch that right foot.
Oh.
And not quite enough. And you see there the expression. I think that's 4 seconds. Is that going to? It is! Do-Yoon Lee is going to get a top and a buzzer beater. We've seen 3 so far this round, and he absolutely needed that to stay in contention. Do-Yoon Lee.
That was amazing.
With 1 second to spare. What is going on?
Honestly,
first try, best try, not last try, best try.
I feel like the level of the boulders is really spot on today. It's, you know, they're hard, they're tricky enough, but not too tricky. Yeah, he did the jam there
Double
as well.
jam method.
Amazing.
That's really cool.
Orian was so close there.
And you see when you rush how far away her hips were. As soon as she started pushing, she was so far away from the wall.
Now Natalia definitely needs to get to the zone on this boulder, and a top would be ideal for her since she did not get that top on number 3 quickly into the zone. As I said, she loves the slab. Using just the screw hole there, or not even the screw hole, I'm sorry, just the edge of the volume with her thumb to kind of push off. Is she going to flash those?
Flash? Just, way,
like
getting a quick reset on the zone.
We've seen a lot of people match there first. Just falls out a little bit. Plenty of time, not even down to the first minute being gone yet.
It hurts my head how quickly she approaches boulders.
She does. She
It's
does
confidence.
move really.
Confidence in what in your decision making, and confidence in that even if you're not, you haven't read it perfectly from the ground, you'll adjust on the fly.
Interestingly enough, both Brooke and Futaba did flash this boulder.
It's like we've only seen a couple of tops, and they've both been flashes.
You know, I am.
Yannick Flohé getting up into the undercling. And I believe that is a flash.
Sorry, off camera, Natalia just slid down the wall.
Boulder number 4 for the women is about 6 feet away from us.
It's a little scary.
It is a little scary when we see it out of the corner of our eye. Really cool second try on a boulder that I would have argued suits her style as well.
Oh, yes. I'm kind of sensing a bit of panic from Natalia. I think it's, I mean, she's been topping almost all the boulders in all of the rounds recently. So having not topped that 3rd one, I'm feeling the tension, and she's kind of rushing, which she doesn't need to do. I mean, she still has so much time. Yeah.
She's like, oh, let me just get this done. Let me just get it done. And here, just slow down, not over. There you go. Natalia Grossman doing what needs to be done. And I think that's going to put her in a fighting spot.
Ooh, that puts her in 6th, but Miho is already in 5th without going to the 4th boulder, so.
And I think, is Afra in that top group as well?
Afra is not. She is currently in 14th place, so likely that Natalia is safe, but I mean, I don't want to speak too soon. We will see what happens. Yeah,
and that's showing you Afra, as I'm pulling it up and trying not to look over your shoulder. Yeah, Afra with missing the top on the 1st boulder is what's going to haunt her.
Natalia got moved to 3rd. It refreshed again.
It shuffled.
She should be probably good.
Yeah, based on attempts. You need 3 right now, 3 and 4, and Miho
the
will be
sun
no
is
problem.
Really shining now. It's incredible. So if you're in the Salt Lake area and you didn't get tickets to finals, maybe you should.
Yeah, come on
I think
down.
the weather might be okay.
Yeah, if anything, it might not rain until 9 o'clock tonight. So Mother Nature was supposed to punish us all day yesterday and today. Yesterday, the sun came out. This morning, it didn't even rain. It was just gray. And I mean, I took a picture.
Well, it didn't rain
Ominous.
for you. Where I drove from, it was pouring for me. I was nervous.
I was in a different zone. And
no,
not quite.
At the last second.
Yeah. Just taking a breath.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
Refresh the results really quick to see exactly where he's sitting right now.
One minute to go. Keita is being quite measured with his rest time. It can be really hard to stand on the mat as the clock slows. Keita, and he's very short on the dyno. He's underthrowing by, I mean, 3 or 4 inches.
And he was really far to the right that time. It almost looked like part of his hand hit the slippery part.
Yeah, so he will have that, a little anxiety in the back of his mind. Very capable of doing this boulder. Keita, get springy.
There, it looked so much better.
And you see that as the legs swing out, that's, you know, a telltale. It's hard to stick a sloper with outward momentum. You need to be almost on your way back in as you do that first pull on the coordination down, and you want to get higher and closer. And Keita is just sort of at his end range and not getting a lot of purchase. And I think he's climbed, you can see he's very upset, as you would be. I think he's climbed his way out of the final, coming out in the first qualifying position.
And you know, that's always so hard when you've had such a good qualification round and you're on a high almost from doing so well, and then to come out in the semifinal not go your way. It's,
a really good
really
look
tough.
At the tiny crimp that is the finish of 3, and Natalia
with the same finish that Ayala did.
Yannick Flohe standing up tall into that big, powerful undercling. And then Keita just got it close there, but was never in complete control of his body. And he will be, he'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
As are we. And now we have Do-Yoon Lee brushing and Afra Hunig staring down boulder number 4. So she needs a top here. Does that give her a fighting shot? I don't think
it does anymore. It would have at one point in the round, but I think now it won't. So with Miho still having one more climb and already being in that 6th spot.
Yeah. So that's Afra climbed so well yesterday, and it's not. I mean, you've competed at this level. It's not a lack of confidence. You're probably not tired. It's just the way climbing goes. Just because you're at the top, you had a great day. As you see Do-Yoon Lee, climbing quite well up the start of this boulder. And you have to manage that. And it's mentally tough to be having a bad round and then have to keep climbing. And I'm sure it does get in your head a little bit. But
yeah,
it's hard to come out near the end of a semifinal. And the pressure is on you.
It really is. And also, like, there are fewer cheers, honestly, because things have been topped.
Do-Yoon Lee is...
Oh, interesting. Right hand on top.
Does he not... Are those, if those holds are touching, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yeah,
no, for a minute I thought does he not have to be on the white hold? But the big blue, all of it counts.
The top is on the on the volume anyway, so as long as anything is touching that volume.
So an interesting method. He didn't grab the biggest hold on the entire boulder.
Clearly he knows
didn't
how
use
to
it.
jam. Something that I wouldn't have done.
No, I wouldn't even have looked at it.
If I was in that jam, I would have never felt that comfortable to just grab the volume at the top.
No, not at all. So Afra now, the only one on the mat, and 2 minutes to climb, all eyes on. And it would be awesome to see her get up this boulder, and I'm sure the crowd would let her know.
Most definitely. Nicely through this opening section, just has to kind of set up.
That toe hook has been useful.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
Even there, you've got to start to get your weight on it before you get over. Yeah.
Very, very close to getting into that zone hold. Honestly, I feel like her heels were kind of too high up. They weren't like sinking down low, and it kind of made it so she couldn't absorb catching the zone as well.
Yeah,
and it pulled her hips out.
I'm with you, and I think she's a bit far left. So her, you have your right foot out, but you need to weight it before you start moving, not as you start moving, because it doesn't feel very secure in that way. So you have to apply force. Something I always encourage people when you have your next session in the gym. Look at some of the movements that these climbers are doing and try and find a boulder that tests something that you're not good at. So if you have to reach way out to your right and then weight a foothold, using body tension instead of getting your hips over your foot, can you do it? Can you put weight on a really tiny jib when it's not underneath you? And that's this kind of movement, this kind of boulder. And you see Afra that just controlling the frustration, that little feeling. And everybody's been there. You've been there. I've been there. I'm sure everybody's watching is, in a different level of pressure, has had that moment of, why can't I do this move? I just want to do the move. I just want to do the move. I just want to grab the top of this boulder. So Afra with a minute now, it would be, I would love to see the crowd just pick up here and give her a little backup support. They've kind of gone a bit lulled into a sense of it's almost over, and they want something exciting to happen.
She's still standing on the mat, so hopefully when she starts climbing, they'll start screaming.
Yeah, you want that.
I do hear some of probably her teammates and coaches cheering for her right now.
Afra Koenig with running out of tries and just needing to get over into this zone.
See if she can find a better body position. Ooh, nice save.
Yeah.
You can quickly, oh no.
Even that little fidgety match, and unfortunately for Afra, her round is going to end.
Oh,
hey,
she's
one more
go
try.
Again.
Why not? She's going to go.
Oh, she's going to, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Try something completely different when you have that little bit of time left.
Take a swing at the last move, which is going to take us down. Megan, we're done.
I can't believe we're already here. It was so fast.
It was such a good journey. Do-Yoon Lee here with
an
the
exciting round.
Somewhat unorthodox match of the finish hold.
The other thing that's been really nice about this round, I feel like there hasn't been any questionable moments. Like all the tops have been clear, all the zones have been clear. It's always nice when you can get through rounds without appeals. I mean, not to say that there haven't been any. I don't know exactly, but from watching, it doesn't seem like there should be. So that's always good. A nice clean round.
It feels that we don't want to have controversy because it raises eyebrows. And
also, there was a lot of blood yesterday, and like we haven't seen that happen today too, which is nice because then there's the frantic running and maybe someone having to go back and wait before they can come out so they can clean out the blood. Little bobble there.
Yeah, Miho just, as she tried to swap heel to toe, lost the left hand. And Kita Dohi, who is just climbing, he's climbing for pride at the moment, of course. He wants to top a boulder. He's not had the semifinal he would have scripted for himself.
Beautiful.
That's fantastic.
It's just floating it.
Putting his true skill set on display.
Miho gonna set up to get into the zone hold.
Deep breaths. I love that pause.
Oh, it looked like she was gonna hold it.
It did. I love that pause. You actually saw her shoulders come up and down. And that was a true, like, whew, big breath in.
True
big
sign of a veteran.
Yeah, that's the moment to become composed. You do have to squeeze pretty hard to start this boulder.
Yeah. I mean, and she, even without doing anything on this boulder, is already in the final. She obviously doesn't know that, but she'll be relieved, I'm sure, once this round is over, but still has plenty of time to possibly get a top here.
Just definitely going to take the rests you need. Kita also looking at that.
Yeah, kind of holding his wrist there for a second. Honestly, there's been a lot of pressing and wrapping going on over the last few days and then last weekend as well. So, you know,
it does take a toll
on the wrists and fingers. Nice heel hook there.
Yeah, they climbed yesterday for their qualification, and it's 5 boulders. So they are definitely going to feel the effects, especially if you get a bit of a tweak on a boulder in your qualifier.
Oh, so close.
You know, you see lots of KT tape, you know, lots of people rubbing muscles. It's a physically demanding sport, as you know, if you're watching at home. So that even a little finger tweak can make a difference, or a tightness in a hip somewhere, as you were saying. You know, as some, I can't remember who it is who's, it might have been, who is it with the hamstring taped up? Georgia Tezio, as you were saying, you know, a difficult hamstring related movement. So you have to push through from your qualifier. Hito on your right and Miho on the left side of your screen.
Kita just trying to find the right body position to get past the zone. Like, setting up for this last move is tricky.
And he is going to do it.
2 hands.
There we go. So
nice way to end the round. Obviously not the best round for him, as he is not exactly excited, but it's always nice to top a boulder in a round, as Miho is going to go through the latter half of the women's number 4 boulder, which is arguably the harder
So
half.
slow.
Just needs to cross that foot through. Ooh.
Oh, you got to make room without falling too far away.
And then to put all the pressure on that left foot.
Love it. Really good from Miho. Really good stuff. Can she keep? That's a great look at that crimp.
Nice.
And she is going to stand up confidently, take us out of our semifinal with a top. The crowd lets her know. Miho, as you say, not knowing that she was already in, is going to be very, very happy to have sent 4 boulders to get back in to what is her regular place into a final.
I mean, to be in finals back-to-back weekends, on the podium last weekend in 3rd place, and honestly just beautiful climbing this entire weekend so far. And obviously results are important, but there's nothing better than to finish rounds and be pleased with the climbing you had. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too,
later.
Megan. We are going to be back with you at 6 o'clock this evening on the broadcast. Let's have a look at our semifinal. So top 6 are going to go through. For the men, that's going to be Kokoro Fuji, Yoshiyuki Ogata, Anjay Paharts, Ross Fulkerson, Lei Kawamata, and Yonghwan Chan. So that is going to be a Japanese team, as we become accustomed to, putting 3 into the final, and some great climbing from Ross Fulkerson from the 13th position
to
put himself up there. And you look at
his first final.
So excited. And then the second half of our semi-final round, and you see just how quickly the boulders got difficult. You know, 3, then 2, then 1 top at the end. So Tomoaki, Takata, and Hito are going to be a little bit disappointed. And then we see at the top of the leaderboard, Ayala Karem with 4 tops in 8 attempts, just a shade ahead of Brooke Rabitou with her 4 in 9, Miho Nanaka in 10, and then Natalia Grossman, somewhat surprisingly, some would say, with 3 tops, and then Cho Yun-so also with 3, and Futaba Ito rounding out the round. So here's the second half of your leaderboard.
Really nice climbing from all the athletes. Again, all 4 boulders topped, but not by a lot of people. So really exciting round, and looking forward to see what these athletes bring to the final.
The route setters are going to come. We're going to pull these boulders down. We're going to get the final set. We're going to get everybody out and then everybody back in. Megan, you and I will be back a little bit, 5 minutes to 6 p.m. We're going to see the finals go down. Women followed by the men. And if it's anything like last weekend, yesterday, and the other events of this season, you do not want to miss the final. Megan Martin, thank you for your insight on this semifinal round. I'm Pete Woods. We will see you a little bit later tonight. That's how you